to episode 184 of Coffee and Co-Read, your source for all things literary with Kristen
and Catherine, where we believe there's nothing better than a hot coffee and an awesome book. Join us for our virtual book club, where we take one book a month and dive into all of the drama, adventure, and romance we can find. Hey, Kristen.
Hi, Catherine.
So, it's a new month.
It is.
It's a new month. Take two.
It's a September again. So
it is.
We're probably going to make references to this a lot, so we're just going to get it out of the way. So this is our second time recording this episode because we tried to do it, I think, yesterday, and my computer decided to crap out on me and freeze up, crash, whatever you want to say and do, and I could not save the episode, so we're trying again.
Here we go again.
Here we go again on our own.
I like it.
So yeah, we may reference things. Like, God only knows that we referenced something that we talked about yesterday. And, like, remember when we talked about that? And, like, nobody will remember. So...
But the good thing is, it's a new book. So, if this was a book we had been, like, the second week of, we might get more confused, yeah, I think. I think we'll be fine. If we're not, you can send us any questions.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess we should do our little, like... book blurb. So because it's the beginning of a new month, we usually just introduce the book and sort of discuss our preliminary feelings on it, usually how we got into it, but seeing as how this is a continuing book from a pre-established series that we've already read, we don't really need to do that. How did you get into this book? Because we sort of know. So we're doing The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent. And it is in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. And it is the first of the Shadowborn duet. And we have previously done the the Nightborn duet. We did that.
Yes.
We did Serpent in the Wings of Night in January 2024, and we did the follow-up to that one, Ashes in the Star-Cursed King, in October of 2024. So it's been 11 months since we visited this world. As
we did the math last night.
There are a lot of things that we've also forgotten about because we haven't. Because this is an existing duet, like, not an existing duet. I'm sorry, that's not what I meant to say. Because this book sort of exists, like, it's in the same world, covering characters that we've sort of already met, or a character, at least, that we've already met.
Yeah.
I felt that it wasn't necessary to reread the series, like, the first duet, because this is, like, sort of the start of a new one.
Yeah, and it's like, there is a fair bit of Mische in the duet.
Yeah.
But... there's not that much. Like, it's
surface level.
Yeah. Like, we don't get any of her point of view. Like, the big moments about her, I can remember. So I, too, was like, fuck it, I'm fine.
And we've discovered that might not have been the best idea. Not because...
we may have forgotten some things.
Well, yeah, not even because of, like... because that sort of duet covers Araya and Rain and everything like that, but it's more of the mythos of the world and, like, the building blocks of the mythology of their gods and stuff like that we're actually struggling with.
Yeah.
Because it plays a much bigger role here.
Yes, it really does. So I did kind of... I just assumed that I would be spoon-fed, to be honest. Yeah. I was like, it's a new book. Maybe you can pick up from any of the three duets because it's their own stories. I kind of, like, thought it might be like that, but it's not really. But I'm still enjoying it, even though I don't And I guess the other thing, too, that we should say is neither one of us has read this book yet.
No.
Yeah, so this is our first time reading it while we podcast about it. So just as a... Because a lot of the times that's not the case.
Yeah. And I will say that, like, as of right now, I'm actually really enjoying the way it goes. Because normally, like, sort of... we've mentioned it a whole bunch that it's hard to hop point of views from a side character to a main character, and I was initially concerned.
Yeah.
But I'm really liking it.
Yeah. That's fair. And, like, we kind of had a bit of a conversation yesterday about how, like, the main couple in this book kind of have the opposite personalities of the main couple in the last duet.
Yes.
So Misha's, like, the happy-go-lucky girl, but she's also it's her point of view. And Araya was kind of like the hard, like black cat, golden retriever. Like she was more the black cat and he was the golden retriever in that series. So it's a duet. So it is interesting to look at the like differences between the stories.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I guess like you said, obviously, the first duet is out, the Nightborn duet. There's also a novella 1.5, Six Scorched Roses. There's a novella 2.5, Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, that are in the same universe. And you have read one, possibly both of them.
Yeah, they just sound really familiar. And, like, they sound like something I would read.
Yeah. And I've decided next time I get Kindle Unlimited, I'll read them.
Like, Six Scorched Roses, I am convinced I've read.
I think you did. I think we talked about it when we did the Ashes in the Star-Cursed King.
Yeah. Like, I'm convinced.
Yeah.
Because, like, in my brain, and maybe I'm wrong, this is having nothing... I have not looked it up at all. Is it not about the guy and the girl that are mates and she was turned or something like that? Like the sort of general guy that was like the general of his army or something? Or like he was a lord and like he really wanted his favor? And it was about his wife?
Yes. I think one of them definitely was. I kind of thought that it was the second one, but it probably would make more sense if it happened before.
See, I thought Slaying the Vampire Conqueror was like a flashback story.
I have I haven't even looked a single thing up about them, so I have no idea. Based on nothing.
So so I'm like, how much of this is true and how much of it is me
making shit up?
Yes. Yeah.
Which is funny because obviously we kind of had this chat yesterday and we didn't decide to look any of that up before now. We did not. So we're going off the same notes. We're doing the same shit, just a little different. Hopefully it's better. We'll see. Yeah. So, and then the next duet, the one we're starting today, is the Shadowborn duet. Obviously, the first book is this one, The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. The second book is The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk. And that was actually released last month, August 2025. Don't know the actual date, but that's fine. And there's a third duet, the Bloodborne duet, that starts with The Lion and the Deathless Dark. And it's expected in 2026. And we assume there will obviously be a second book to that. And who knows if there will be more novellas. I haven't heard anything.
I lied.
A bit of... What?
I lied.
Okay.
So the second one, the first one, I am correct.
Yes.
It's about that guy, Vale and Lilith.
Yes, that's their names.
Right?
Yeah.
The next one, Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, is about people I don't know who they are.
Gotcha. So you probably didn't read it.
Selena.
Or did you? Oh, fun.
So her name is Selena, and Atreus is the guy.
Huh.
Atreus is a terrifying warrior carving an unstoppable path through Glea. Yet when Selena becomes his seer, she glimpses a dark and shocking past and a side of him that reminds her far too much of parts of herself she'd rather forget. Selena's orders are clear. The conqueror cannot live, but as the blood spilled by Glea's tyrant king runs thicker, her connection with Atreus only grows stronger. A connection forbidden by her vows. A connection that could cost her everything. But, like, I've never heard of those characters before.
What's Araya's mother's name? Wasn't she a seer?
Oh.
Could it be?
Yeah, but it says Selena has sacrificed everything for her goddess. Her soul, her freedom, her eyes.
Oh.
So somebody... And where's Glea?
Song's eyes. I don't know.
And the guy's name is Atreus, not Vincent.
Yeah, but I can't think of who else it could possibly be.
Holy sugar plum. Also, apparently that book, it's a novella, but it's 369 pages.
That's not a novella. Let me just say that.
It's not a novella.
Sorry for telling you that there were novellas when there's not.
Yeah, it's not a novella.
Interesting.
Yeah, so, you know, I don't really know what to call it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyway.
Well, this book's only 418 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we will mention that we were kind of wondering last night who the Bloodborne duet will be about. And we kind of assumed it would be Septimus because we don't really know anyone else.
Yeah.
But like he's not like hot main male character.
But like maybe he is. Maybe just Araya was so wrapped up in Rain that she didn't because didn't she describe him as being handsome?
I just, you know who I think of him as? Let me think if I can...
guy with long hair. Is it the guy from that I think of when I think of Septimus?
Who?
That guy. So there's a movie that I definitely
Is it just supposed to read your mind?
Yes.
We didn't have this conversation yesterday.
So there's a movie that I am obsessed with that I feel I definitely made you watch, and it's called Stardust, and it's got Michelle Pfeiffer in it, and oh my god, what's his name? Robert De Niro, and Robert De Niro plays like a transgendered pirate, and he's hilarious, and Michelle Pfeiffer plays like a badass crazy witch. Yeah. And Claire, is it Claire Danes?
I think so.
Claire Danes and the guy who plays Daredevil, whatever his name is.
I have no idea.
And Ben Burns is in it, but young Ben Burns.
He's a little baby.
He's a little baby. Anyway, so in that book, it's based on the book by oh god,
Neil Gaiman,
yeah. So it's a movie of that, and it's amazing. If you've never seen it and have the ability to see it, I strongly recommend that you see it because it's fantastic. But so the main like bad guy, one of the princes, his name is Septimus.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look him up because.
And so now that's what I think of when I think of Septimus, is like a guy with like long brown hair.
So, yes. Do you want to know who I think of him as?
Yes.
So, the Vampire Academy movie, the like not another teen movie of it, Victor.
Wait, what? There was not another teen movie of
no,
the Vampire
no. It's
Academy
just like
movie?
No, it's just very much. It's very much a teen movie. I was like making
Vampire
a joke
Academy.
about how it's Vampire Academy.
Oh,
the movie.
The movie.
Because there's a show. I'm differentiating.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, okay.
I'm differentiating between the movie and the show.
Right. Victor. Oh.
Is it Victor? Her, like, old.
The old uncle guy.
Yeah.
Really?
That's what I picture him as. And I'm sure, like, He's definitely not, but that's how I picture him. I don't know why. Just because he was like kind of sneaky and bad.
I don't know. I don't know if I remember what he looks like. But yeah, maybe it is just a sneaky bad thing.
It must be. But yeah, it was funny. But anyway, so I'm kind of like, I don't really want to read a story about him. But I'm sure like you will start reading it and be like, oh shit, he is hot.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I think he's going to be a lot less, I don't know if cagey is the right word, like a lot less, because in the first duet, he's very like sly and like has this plan to take over the world or take over the kingdom.
Yeah, do you think it'll be his point of view though?
I don't know. I don't think
because the last two, no.
I don't think I want a man's point of view.
Even if he is written by a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know who. It's got to be someone we've already met.
Yeah, but like
maybe like one of the guard women that were around her.
Maybe
like Victor's main guard girl, or like
Yesenia or something
like that.
Jesnia or something weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess it boils down to this is Mische's story. So in the Nightborn duet, we had Aurea and Rain's sort of love story, and they went from like enemies to like reluctant allies to lovers, then to enemies again, then to a pining male main character who like wronged his woman and just wants her back, and then back to lovers. And that was their entire arc over the course of 2 books. Now we're getting Mische's story, who's like the plucky, like bubbly, like positive best friend of the male, like Rain. She's his best friend. So she's been right by his side the whole time, joined the Kajari with him, had to leave because she was injured. She gets kidnapped, but, you know, Aurea and Rain rescue her. She ends up killing the Shadowborn prince who was her maker, who, like, turned her against her will and took everything of her, so she really hated his guts. So she killed him. And now this book is sort of the repercussions of that. Yeah. And she also lost the use of her magic that she had when she was human, and now we're dealing with that too.
Yeah. Like, I don't really remember how much of it we saw in the last book, but...
Yeah, it almost feels like she had it and had it and had it and had it until she didn't. Like, it just got... It's like, it seems like, I think, they just turned the tap off.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we really do get into that a lot starting this week. So, just a heads up, this is not a spoiler-free zone, and things don't get saucy this week, other than us swearing, like we always do.
Yeah. Not a bit of sauce, and it's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
Like, I wonder if there's going to be any sauce in this book.
There has to be at least one scene, and then there's going to be a betrayal.
True story.
And then it'll be the same as the last book.
At least we all already know what the betrayal is.
Yeah. Well, after this week. We don't know it yet.
Well, we do because we read it and took notes on it. But, like,
yeah.
We haven't discussed it yet.
Yeah. So this week we're doing chapters 1 to 9. And the book actually starts off with a map, which I didn't really understand when I first looked at it. But through this week, I did, like, you really do get an idea of what it is. But on the far left is Morthrin. And Morthrin is like a castle, but then it has tree roots that get into each level below it. But there is a cut between secrets and soul. So I do wonder if that's going to play in somehow. And then on the other side, it starts with the mortal world. And beneath the mortal world is the body. And then the breath, the psyche, secrets, soul. And at the very bottom is the underworld. And Morthrin kind of goes down through everything. So it's a really cool
idea.
Setting. Yeah. Idea and setting for a story. Because, like, this week we really just get into it and we're already in hell.
Yeah, which is unexpected.
Yeah, I kind of thought that there'd be more. And we kind of talk about it, well, after the prologue. How the story really just goes straight into...
Yeah, it just jumps in.
And in like a bit of an odd spot, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Because first we have the prologue. So the sun god normally chooses flawless faces, powerful warriors, or skilled sorcerers, but this girl is neither. So 2 sisters show up to the temple, and they have nothing, and if they can't get shelter here, they're going to die like countless other faceless, innocent people. The older sister is beautiful, and she offers her faith, her life, and soul. And the priests disapprove of her because, you know, she's dirty and whatever.
Poor.
Yeah. And the god, I think it's like the god accepts her fealty with like vague disinterest. So like he doesn't actually give her anything.
Yeah, doesn't give a fuck.
Exactly. And then he is interested in the child. And the child is only 8 years old. And he kind of thinks like a god normally wouldn't want anything from her. And she offers a feather. And it's as remarkable as she is. Which is just already like shitty to say about
In other
an
words,
8-year-old child.
She's not remarkable at all. She's stupid.
Yeah. But when he peers down at her through the veil between the worlds, she peers back, and the priests start like pulling the older sister away, but like they actually make eye contact, I guess, which is not what normally happens.
Yeah.
Kind of seems like. And the god says in the little girl's head, "I see you, little one, reach out your hand." And the magic comes to her easily. And then like sunlight streams down and she lights all the candles in the temple and fire appears in her palm. And there is a section in the prologue that does say something like, she was unremarkable, but like she's going to be his downfall or something. Not his downfall, but like something similar.
Right.
I'm sure it'll start making sense shortly. But, so yeah, she lights all the candles and stuff. And then the girl is smiling at the sky and she's found purpose. And the god thinks he's received another devotee for his collection who will follow until until she's dead. And then the story just says he was right for a while. And this is the tale of the chosen one, falling, screaming, and clawing for her old life with broken fingernails slowly over decades, and she takes the whole forsaken world with her.
Yikes.
Yeah, you're like, that doesn't sound great. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
So obviously, we assume that is Mische as a child.
Yes.
And it does turn out that it is, but some prologues in books, you're like, what the fuck did I just read?
Yes. Yeah.
This one's a bit more obvious.
Oh, you mean like, was it the One Dark Window? When I, like, the first chapter, I was like, what the fuck? I had no idea what was happening.
Yeah.
In the first chapter, I was, like, completely lost.
I was thinking more like Kingdom of the second book, where in the beginning it's like, the devil, this, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, what? Who's the devil? Which is what?
Yeah.
And it kind of happened in was it the last book we read? The prequel was just like the moment at the end. But anyway.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
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 So
Phantasma.
Yeah. We go to part 1 of this book, and it's called Life. And Mische's actually in a cell trying to light a candle and a curtain to burn big enough so that she can use her magic to control it. And she thinks it used to be easier. And no one would expect her as like a happy-go-lucky but also vampire girl to have magic. So she used to be able to take them by surprise with it.
I feel like,
she begs.
Can I also just say, though, I feel like that's the wrong phrase to use, because I don't think that people would be surprised if she had magic. I think people would be surprised that she had the type of magic she has.
Yes, I think that's what she means. Like, I think that's what she said. I just kind of...
Oh, I thought she was...
No, because, yeah, some of them do have... Obviously, some of the vampires do have magic, but no one expects, like, the sun to come out of her, and she can burn full vampires to a crisp.
Not anymore.
She could burn full vampires to a crispy crisp. So she begs the god, but it's been almost a year since he's answered her prayers, and it still burns her to just try to use the magic. And she ends up collapsing, and she's covered in like tears and blood, and it's not just her blood, because the soldiers from the House of Shadows killed a merchant when they came for her. And I thought that the merchant would maybe be more important, but
nope.
I don't think it's going to come up again.
Never thought of again.
Actually, I do think it's going to come up again, because I think there's something going on with the way she was found, and I'll talk about that later.
Okay.
So yeah, but when they came for her, she was in the middle of nowhere, and she'd been alone for ages, so she doesn't really know how they found her, which I guess is kind of my thing. I'm like, I don't think the person claiming to find her is the one that actually found her.
Maybe not.
But I think we're going to get some backstory on it.
Could
be completely wrong.
Do you think the handsome man found her?
Yeah. The handsome man that smells good. So she immediately knows that she's here because she killed the prince. And it's actually why she left Araya and Rain, because she didn't want to implicate them in the murder.
So nice of her.
Yeah. And I don't know. Araya at least knows that she did. Maybe she didn't know he was prince. I don't know. She did, though. There's no way Rain doesn't realize this either, so... If she goes missing, they're going to bring war anyway, because they're going to be like, where the fuck is she?
Yeah, that's true.
And, I'm pretty sure you don't have cell phone service in the underworld.
Unless...
Ooh. You never know. Yeah, so... When they caught her, the Shadowborn used their magic to bind her thoughts, and they took all of her things. And she tried to reach out when they took Rain and Araya's unopened letters, because there's this cool magic where if she walks close enough to the House of Night, the letters will just magic their way to her, which is just fun. But she didn't read any of them. And she also didn't burn them.
I don't understand the point of going to get them if you're not going to open them and read them. Why have them?
Yeah. Yeah. And so she didn't read them, she didn't burn them. And she's like, shit, I should have at least done one of those things. Because at this point, obviously, it's implicating them as her friend. So the door to her cell opens, and a woman and a man come in, and she can tell that the woman is noble, and she seems familiar. And the man is the guard that dragged her in here. So the woman tells her to get up, and... her body's exhausted, obviously, but it still obeys because of the, I guess, bloodborne magic. And not bloodborne, Shadowborn. They're kind of similar, though, because the bloodborne one, they just need you to be bleeding. So, at first, I was a bit confused about which one this was.
Yeah. I don't know what...
But
the Nightborn, what are their powers? I don't remember those either.
Yeah. Rain's power was just like darkness and night.
Right. So he's Reese.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he even had the wings.
Yeah.
And his name began with an R. Oh my god.
I'm sure we made these connections.
Who knows at this point?
It's been almost a year. So yeah, her body obeys and she stands up even though she sways. And we get like a tiny bit that like Shadowborn magic has like compulsion and illusions, and it's very much like an in your brain thing. So the woman circles her and says, "This is who killed my brother." And she calls her an embarrassment, and that the prince was murdered by some little bitch he turned because he couldn't control his impulses. And that's what happens when you get everything you want your whole life.
Yikes.
Yeah. So
she doesn't love her brother.
No. And also he was spoiled.
What? A prince spoiled?
Yes.
Ludicrous.
So the woman's magic has the same feeling to Mische as her makers did. And Mische knows, obviously, that her letters implicate the House of Night. And she says that they have her confused for someone else because she doesn't want, like, if she could possibly lie about being the killer, then maybe she'd be fine. But I just don't really understand her plan because they're immediately like, and pluck the memory.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know either. Like, unless she just doesn't realize that they're just going to go for the memory. Like, maybe they think that, maybe she thinks that they'll be, like respectful and, like, not immediately break into her memory and steal it. But, like, also, what other option does she have at this point?
Yeah, I guess. But the woman immediately just pushes into her memory and finds the day of her brother's death. And we get from Mische's point of view the party from the second book, the last book, and seeing her maker at the party and not telling Rain about it because the party was too important. And the woman pushes deeper into her head, and the man calls her Egret and tells her to be careful because she can't kill Mische. And Mische realizes that Egret is the princess, and she's the second heir of the House of Shadow. So Egret just says that she's going to die soon anyway. She just wants to see how she did it. So she kind of like fast forwards through her brain and skips past the coup and the kidnapping and locking Mische up. And Mische has the prince against the wall, and she is so angry because he's the reason that she lost everything. She lost like her magic and the god's favor. So she stabs him.
Yikes.
And she comes out of this memory, I guess. And Egret just says that that was the most useful thing that she could ever do. And that she's going to die soon. So it's not going up from here. Mische tries to push herself up off the ground, but Egret just like pushes her shoe into her like side wound. And the man warns her, but she says that her father will enjoy the suffering of a spy. And Mische tries to deny it, but Egret calls her a gift. And Mische looks at the candle again and can imagine her burning it. Months ago she could have done it, but now obviously she can't get it to work. So she rolls over knowing she doesn't have his favor and death is like lingering. She feels like she could die now. Mm-hmm. And then Egret leaves saying she's seen what she needs to do, which is interesting.
It is an interesting thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
That's odd.
Like, is there going to be more to what she does? Or was that all we're getting of her?
Could she be a seer?
Interesting. Could, like, I wonder if the shadow magic can give you a glimpse of a future if it went your, like, for any of them.
Yeah.
Like, we really don't understand their magic.
No.
So, basically, Egret being in her brain kind of fucked her up for a bit. and she's like going through memories, and she can't really get back to reality, but she thinks back to Sasha used to to tease her about vampires when they were young. And she hears Sasha's voice now, but she isn't laughing. And she thinks that she's going to die here today. And she begs herself to do something, but she can't. And she can't, like, pull herself back to reality. But she feels hands and a delicious scent. And you know when you start getting the scent that you're, like, picking out the flavors. You know what that means.
Mate.
Yeah.
Does this world, like, do they actually have, like, mates in the, like, instinctual sense?
I feel like they must, because remember in the first and second books of of like when they drank each other's blood, it was better than any blood they had ever tasted, and like.
Yeah, but I don't think they came out and said they were mates, did they?
I don't know if they did. I just think that like, I think that there are mates. There's somebody that like, maybe it's just once you're in love with somebody, or maybe.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't like that.
I don't know. It could be that, like, he tasted her blood before they were in love, and he was like, "Holy shit!"
I just feel like, I want mates to be an established thing, and I want it to be something instinctual that you can't control. I don't want it to be a choice, and that sounds weird.
Yeah,
but I don't. I don't want people to be able to choose. And I don't want it to be.
I can't remember specific.
Maybe I just like I want it to be obvious, like the whole thing in Crescent City where Hunt and Bryce are like, "Are we mates? Maybe." Like, I didn't like that. Like, no, if you're gonna support the mate narrative, have it be, oh yeah, mates, and as soon as you like spot the person, like I like, oh yes, that's it, that's my person. Yeah. But that's more of a personal preference rather than a complaint about literature. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I don't
personally,
think that's
what I like
book.
to read. No, I know, but it's what I like.
Yeah. So the scent is like faintly floral and cold and clean, like poppies dusted with frost. And the person tears open her shirt and puts their hands on her wound, and she says stop, but they say to let them help her. And they reach for her sleeves, and she can't let them see the years of burn scars, but before she can stop them, she passes out. And she says that she dreams, but we kind of realize in a second that it's not actually dreams. It's just like she's out of it. But people come to her and put her in a tight white dress with silver chains around her wrists. And they give her endless commands of stand, sit, walk, and they say the king will be pleased. And the hands were gentle with her, but she knew that they were cruel. But she doesn't fight because obviously she's under the control or compulsion of one of these shadow vampire guys.
Yes, daddy.
And then she dreams of a stone, a starry night, a palace made of knives, a door. And that just didn't seem to fit in with the rest of the like compulsion talk. So I was like, is this going to come up? But then someone says, wake up, and touches her face, and reality crashes down. And she just says shit, and her knees almost give out. But somebody grabs her. And she's just in the middle of a ballroom with several hundreds of vampires looking at her. And
yikes. How nerve-wracking.
Yeah. I would just fall to the floor. I honestly don't know what I'd do.
Curl up in a ball and be like, don't look at me.
Be like, just go ahead and kill me now instead of waiting a little while.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather just chop it off.
Yeah, I don't want to have the discussion.
Yeah. And I'd be like, what was I just doing? Because I don't remember anything.
Yeah. I feel like that sometimes anyway, because my memory is shit.
That's fair. Yeah, so she's in a beautiful ballroom, and their vampires are covered in blood, and she doesn't know the last time she drank. And she's wearing white, and it's stained with her own blood from her injuries on her waist, right shoulder, and left forearm. So she knows that, like, this is part of the show, the fact that she's in white and she's bleeding. So she feels pressure on her mind from every direction, and she puts up her mental walls. And Ygritte says, "Father, my gift for you on the night of your birth, the murderer of your son." And the king of the House of Shadows looks at her with 1,000-year lifetimes worth of hatred. And you're like, oh shit. And she thinks that, like, he's everything they've said about him. And we kind of get that, like, obviously she was a human not that long ago, and humans used to whisper about the monsters. And to the Obatrace, who are like the continent, the land of vampires, like, the kings of the houses are gods. And Vincent, I guess, these are the ones. Are these? Yeah. These are the ones that were in control when she must have been a human, because she's kind of talking about how she heard about them when she was a human. Obviously Vincent was, because he only got kicked out the first book.
Yeah.
But Vincent had been the Drawn Blade, a cold-blooded killer. Dante was the king of the Bloodborne, and he was a beast, more teeth and claw than man. And she thinks there's going to be legends about Rain and Aurea, but she's not going to live to hear them, which is sad.
Yeah, because she thinks she's going to die, like, right now.
Mm-hmm. And Raoul, like, I can't say his name. That's fine.
No, you can.
But he's the king of the House of Shadows.
You say his name correctly. I just have damage when it comes to the name Raoul. You're not saying it wrong. It's something that we make that I didn't understand when I first watched. So, like, flashback. So if anybody has seen the a version of Phantom of the Opera 2005 with Emmy Rossum and Gerard Butler, in that movie, Christine Daae, played by Emmy Rossum, says, like, the main guy's name is Raoul. And, like, I always thought it was Raoul. I, like, listened to a few different, like, Broadway productions of it. Thought it was Raoul the whole time. And then in the 2005 Phantom of the Opera movie, Emmy Rossum keeps calling the character of Raoul. And I don't know, like, if maybe they're taking a French twist with it.
Yeah.
Because, like, technically it's set in Paris, so, like, you know, it's the Opera Populaire, so, like, is it just because it's French so they made that stylistic choice? Is it that Emmy Rossum couldn't read the name Raoul, so she called him Raoul? I don't know. But now, whenever I hear, it's not even a reading thing, because when I read it as Raoul. It's when I hear someone else say the name, in my brain, Emmy Rossum is saying, Raoul! Just like that.
Was she trying to roll her R's and she couldn't?
No, I don't think so.
No?
No. Like, that, me putting that little trill is because she was having a nervous moment because her and the Phantom were fighting. Or him and the Phantom were fighting. Mm. Had her kidnapped or something like that, and she saw him there, and she was like, Raoul! And she was all, like, nervous. So that was me trying to act. I guess it just didn't really work out that well.
No, but you said that it might be because they were trying to make it French, and I was like,
Oh, no,
was she trying to like roll?
No, I think because she says Raoul, like growl, just without the G, instead of saying Raoul.
Yeah. I can't think of how like.
Yeah, en français, c'est Raoul, or something like that. Might be too Quebec, but like. I just spent like a week of Canada Games with a bunch of Quebec people, so you know, not my fault.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, so I have no idea. But now whenever you say Raoul,
yeah,
in my brain, it's Emmy Rossum very distinctly with like a hint of terror in her voice going, Raoul! Like she's scared.
Amazing.
So, and if you've seen the movie, you 100% know what I'm talking about. So, you know.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
So, yeah.
So that's my damage right now.
That's fair. So, he's the king of the House of Shadow, and he's the oldest of the vampire kings, and like a lot of them, he killed his mother to rule. And they say that he can pick thoughts from your brain and squish them, and he can enslave you without a single chain. And she used to think that he was like a fantasy, a myth, and a legend. And I was telling Kristen this last night, but I'll say it again. When I first read this part, I was like, is he going to be the love interest? Because, like, it doesn't matter if you're thousands of years old.
No, there's a very distinct, like, okay, so if you've got, like, a 20-year-old girl, and, I mean, she's 69, but she's 19 for all intents and purposes, but she's 69. Woo!
Yeah.
But there's a very distinct, like, you know, you have someone who's 19, 20, you know, 20 to 30 is okay. 30 to 40 is okay. 40 to 50 is okay. Maybe even like early 50s you could get away with. Getting into 60, no longer okay. 70s, not okay. 80s, no. 90s, no. 100s, no. 110, maybe not. 120, you're golden. You're back in the sweet spot. So like, anything above 120 ready to go. So like you could have someone thousands of years old with a 20-year-old. It's fine as long as they're not 60.
So I feel like Edward was only like,
he's 109.
Yeah. So his was still sketchy.
Still sketch. Okay. The reason why, though, I'm saying, like, 100 to 110 is still sketch is because, like, it is possible for people to live that long. That's why I'm saying that. If you're an eternal vampire, I think you can get a pass. If you're 109.
But you still shouldn't be going after high school girls. Like, you should still be looking elsewhere.
But now, maybe it's because their maturity is stuck where they're, like when they were turned.
Yeah.
Like, maybe he's a teenager at heart because he was turned at the age of, like, 17.
Yeah. During a plague when he could barely be a teenager. But this is not a Twilight podcast at the moment.
No, although...
Maybe someday. I want to...
It's coming back in theaters, and Catherine and I have already decided we're going to see it.
Yeah, so we'll tell you all about that. So, yeah, he's super old, and... until something that happened shortly, I was kind of like, oh, interesting. Like, is he the one that helped her last night? Mm-hmm. But she looks at him and she knows that like all the stories are true. And she wants to run, but she can't. So she smiles because that's like her go-to mask. And his wife glares at her, and Mische knows that she's just as angry and just as dangerous as he is. And I was like, oh, he has a wife. What's going to happen there?
Not the love interest, maybe.
Yeah. So someone pushes Mische, intending to like get her on her knees, but she keeps herself upright. And then Ygritte says that she found her herself and thought to kill the spy just north of their borders. But then she thought that maybe her father would like the first bite. And Mische can kind of tell that Ygritte is like super desperate for approval, which is another reason why, like, she said that she found her herself, and Mische being like she's desperate for approval. I'm like, did she find her herself? Is there something else going on?
Well, like, didn't she say that the soldier guy found her?
Yeah.
So, like, that's not Ygritte.
So it's like,
that's her lover.
Well, that's what we decided last night.
Yes, I've decided that the soldier guy and Ygritte just need to hook up. And, like, Ygritte just needs to get herself some. If she's not already.
Yes. Yeah. We decided we wanted, like, a side story about her kicking ass. And do you think that she's going to be the love interest in the next book?
Oh, my God. I would low-key love it if she was. Like, I know she's been a bitch right now, but I'm here for it. Someone kills your brother, you sort of demands retribution.
Yeah, and her father is a dick.
Yeah. Pushing her to the side just because of her gender. We don't play that, sir.
We're assuming, but obviously it's going to be that. So the king is just like, oh, she's from the House of Night. Nikolai sent a spy. And Misha's immediately confused because Nikolai died hundreds of years ago. He's the king that was in place before Vincent was ruling. And Ygritte just says, yeah, the House of Night has always been too bold, and Nikolai deserved his end. And Raoul is just like, oh yeah, Vincent. And he says he'll send the spy back in pieces, as he has done before. And then he asks for Malik, which is his dead son. And you're like, there could have been a bit of nuance here, but clearly he has some sort of dementia.
Yes.
But it's like super obvious. It's not surprising that Mische realizes this. It's like, that's three things, one after another.
Yeah. It was a very obvious, like, oh, look, he's not in his right mind.
Yeah. Which, like, I kind of get, because as fast as we move away from here, it's important, I guess, for us to know for sure.
Yeah.
But it was kind of surprising that they were just throwing all that out there. So then the air around her shatters, and everyone doubles over in pain, like their heads are exploding. And she looks up to see that the queen is giving the king a drink of wine. And the pain stops for everybody, and nobody acknowledges it. And Mische just thinks, like, clearly Raoul just had an outburst. And she thinks, like, obviously this wasn't the first time if everyone's just, like, going along with it.
Mm-hmm.
And Ygritte just looks at her and just says in her head, not a word, spy. Because, like, that would probably set her father off again. So Raoul approaches her and says that she killed his heir. And she pulls out the memory. Again, so easy to pull out this memory for everybody. There's no lying. So he watches his son die. And then Ygritte tells her father that Mische didn't act alone and to send her back in pieces to show the slave king and the half-breed queen what they think of their treachery. And Mische knows that, like, Rain and Aurea will actually start a war for her. And right now they can't really withstand a war because they kind of left everything off, and, like, there was a coup and then they got back in charge and they, like, killed a whole bunch of people that used to be in power. So, like, they're not in the shape to, like, go out and and they also had a big battle.
They did
kind of forget that part.
Well, and, like, just their people still, like fighting one war together, I don't think makes up for the hundreds and maybe even thousands of years of infighting. You know what I mean? Like, they've literally, definitely. Like, the two different types of winged, like, Nightborn vampires have literally been fighting for centuries. So, like, that's not just because they banded together for one war, one battle against the Bloodborne does not mean that they're just going to be getting along. They're still going to hate each other.
Yeah,
like, they're still going to be pushing against each other. So, yeah, they got enough on their plate.
Mm-hmm. So Mische cuts in to say that the king and queen don't care about her, and Raoul yells for her to be silent, and she has to obey because obviously he's using his powers. And he touches her face and like replays the memory of his son's death, and he tells her to kneel, and she has to. And Raoul calls her a gift and says that they'll show the House of Night what they do with murderers.
Yikes.
So she's forced down to her knees, and she thinks that, like, obviously right now she can't fight, but she thinks even if she could, she doesn't know if she would, because she was supposed to die the night that her god abandoned her, and she's been chasing redemption ever since, and she's never gonna get it. And it's just like so depressing,
yeah,
to like hear her headspace here.
Yeah, like but like I also feel like this is sort of part of like what makes the story so good and interesting, is that like she's 50 years into being a vampire, and I still feel like she doesn't even really accept it about herself. Like she
definitely
hates that part of herself. She hates that she's a vampire. She hates anything to do with her vampire self because it took her purpose from her of serving in her cult. So, like, I don't know. Yeah.
No, that's fair. She does think that, like, she feels bad for Rain and Aurea and what's going to happen. And then a blade rises, but somebody storms in and yells, "Stop, I need her." And she looks up, but she's, like, on her hands and knees. Someone has her hair, but Raoul has his hand up to stop the blade, and Ygritte is just like, is avenging our brother, like, not what we should be doing. And Mische thinks that Raoul did have an illegitimate child, but she thought that he was dead because she hadn't heard about him in a while. So, like, whoever Ygritte is talking to, this is also that person's brother. The voice says a dead prisoner is useless, and killing her now would be a stupid mistake. So everyone goes silent, and they're just like, you just called your king father stupid. But he just kind of corrects and says, he corrects and says that it's just short-sighted, father. Raoul asks why, and like why he came here, and he says that he came for his father's birthday, and Ygritte makes a joke about him not being housebroken because he's been in his cage for so long, which is just like interesting because, like, why was he away and what's going on?
Yeah, I think we learn like very, very soon that he was like exiled or something, and it's like, I would love to know what he did to be exiled.
Yeah, because what could he even possibly do that's worse than what his father does? Maybe not something bad. He just like didn't do something. That's probably. So Raoul says his name, and it's Asar, and he tells him to say his piece, and Mische thinks this must be Asar Valderi, the Wraith Warden. And there are so many stories of blood and torture and spycraft, and every king has someone do their dirty work, and he's the one for Raoul. So she hadn't heard of Asar in so long that now she's thinking maybe death would have been better than having to do she doesn't know what with him.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny and such a cliche, but I still love it every time. So boots come into her vision, and a hand like holds her head down onto the ground and then like hits her face on the ground, and it's like completely unnecessary, but she smells a super familiar scent from the guy. We're like, who could this be?
But can I just say that, like, I do find that a lot of books will do this, like when they're introducing our main character, like, or the main, like the MMC.
Yeah.
Do you not find that they, like, sort of try and make, they try and, like, so if he's, like, a bad boy, right? Like, they're trying to differentiate between him being, like, a bad boy versus, like, everyone else who are just, like, plain evil. So,
Yeah.
like, yeah, sure, he came in and she's like, oh my god, he has such a bad reputation of being such a terrible human. But then
So evil.
somebody else, like, hits her face on the ground and then he's like, don't do that. So, like, it's like he has boundaries. It's like, oh, look, he's the bad boy, but he has boundaries. He's a green flag. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I find books do that a lot, is they try and, like, introduce a situation where, like, oh, the bad boy is bad, but he has lines he won't cross.
Which are just not hurting her.
Yeah.
And it's usually just her.
Yeah.
Like,
Or,
everyone
like,
else is fair game.
You know, or, like, she throws herself at him, but she's intoxicated, and he's like, no, I can't do this with you right now. It's like, he won't cross that, like, consent boundary. And, like, they always, I'm not saying that if they, like, I feel like it also feels like I'm saying that, like, a good guy can cross the boundary. He can't. That's not what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying, like, good guys also don't do those things. Like, they also
oh my God,
would,
no.
like, a good guy would also stand up for her and also not cross that boundary. But they seem to make a very clear distinction when you have, like, a bad boy. They very clearly make a situation happen that shows their boundaries more in a, like, more clear, concise way.
Yeah, exactly. It seems more orchestrated than, like, it's not damsel in distressy. It's like orchestrated. He's not so bad.
Yes. Like, look, he's not bad after all.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. So yeah, he just is like, that's enough, and to let her stand. And she kind of wonders if she can, and a voice in her head says, you can. And she doesn't know if like she said it to herself or if it's someone else. And I immediately was like, it's him. He's in your head. He told you you can stand. And we did have this conversation, spoiler alert, during our first record. And Kristen was like, maybe it's her own voice. And I was like, no, I think it's him. I think he's in her brain.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, who knows if we'll ever know. But fun times. So a hand reaches out to help her up, but she doesn't take it. And then she stands up and she involuntarily gasps at his handsomeness. And then she calls him beautiful in her head. And then she says that he's covered in, like, a black and luminescent blue scar with, like, thorny vines from his collarbone up his throat, face, and, like, through his eye. And his eye doesn't have a pupil or iris, but is, like, swirling silver, and it's in constant movement. So I was like, did you gasp at his handsomeness? Or did you gasp at his scar?
I know, and, like,
and his silver eye.
I could have sworn when I read this book, she literally said something about how he couldn't be considered conventionally attractive or something like that. And yet now she's saying, like, he's the most handsome, but yet he's not conventionally attractive.
I don't know. I don't remember her saying that. Like, I'm also not going to look it up.
Was it a fever dream?
It might have been.
Oh my God. I feel like I have a lot of those.
It happens. So she thinks that, like, his, I guess, maybe his eye specifically, or just, like, the scar in the eye, like, wake up the priestess. They're really close. They're really close words. The priestess that she used to be, that used to study magic possibilities. So I feel like that's going to be an important thing of, like, he's bringing her back to her humanity, and that's, like, what she misses. I do think there's going to be, like, a part of that come into play. So they stare at each other, and he looks away first, and then he touches her hand, and it summons goosebumps, and she can feel his surprise, but he hides it better than she does. And then he pulls up her sleeve, and obviously she doesn't want to look at her scars or show anyone them because they're grotesque. Like, she hardly even looks at them herself. And we get that, like, before she was turned, it was like she would still get marks, but they were super small and they'd only be on like her inner elbow. And then after she turned, she was just happy she could use her magic because most turned humans couldn't use it. So she thought that like she deserved the punishment for being a vampire, which is like a natural enemy to the sun and light. So she was fine with the scars. She's ashamed of them, but she's like, she accepts them and thinks she deserves them.
Yeah.
And they're all over her whole arm now. And some are still bloody and pus filled because of trying to use her magic earlier.
Yeah. I did look it up because I had to. So it didn't say what I thought it said, but it said he might have been handsome once.
Oh.
So that's sort of where I got it, because it's insinuating that he's not really now.
Because of the scar?
I guess. So it says he might have been handsome once, or perhaps beautiful would be a better word. His features had a powerful artistry to them, a finely angled jaw, strong brows over intense, near black eyes, a chiseled nose with nostrils that flared slightly in interest as his gaze locked to mine. His hair, thick and dark, fell in waves over his forehead, a once refined cut that had been long neglected. He was very tall and broad-shouldered, the top button of his shirt undone to reveal muscles leading down to his chest, all of it free of wrinkles or marks of age, doused in that almost sickening vampire perfection. But that was where the perfection ended. In a lifetime of traveling, I'd never seen scars like these.
Okay.
So, I guess she's saying he would be handsome if not for the scars.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess I could see where your brain was like, not conventionally handsome, based on what she said. So yeah. It's kind of hard that we did this recording already, because I'm like, oh, we need to talk about the cult and all of this stuff, but I'm like, should we talk about it a little later?
I don't know.
I think probably better when, yeah. But I guess the point is that she's in a really bad place right now in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Like, she's been a vampire for 50 years and she's been like accepting pain as punishment and thinking she deserves it.
Yeah, so like it's almost like she hasn't let go of her former life. Like, and I don't mean, because like I know she accepts that she's a vampire, but like,
yeah,
only the only time, and I'm halfway through the book, and the only time I've seen her drink, she does it sort of like on the sly. Like, she doesn't want to admit that she has to do it. And she talks about how, like, she's a priestess. She's used to, like, convalescing, like, I guess is the word. Like, she's used to, like, going without and, like, fasting, I guess, like, for her faith. Yeah. So, like, it is like she is deliberately punishing herself for an event that was completely out of her control. Like, there is no way she could have stopped the Shadowborn prince from turning her if that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah, I know there's going to be more to that story, because at this point she thinks that she failed something.
Yes.
Like, so I want to know what she was actually trying to do, because there's got to be more to it for her to be like, I'm such a failure. But yeah, no, I didn't so much take her not drinking. I could for sure read it the same way that you are, but I think like the times that it's brought up by now was just because they're keeping her from food.
Yes.
And like the times that it's brought up later that I've read so far have been like, they have been a bit odd, because she's been like, and I'm eating food with it. And I'm like, do these vampires do that? I don't remember.
I don't
remember anything.
But that's the thing, I don't think they do. Like, because I think she's insistent on having food when she doesn't need it because she doesn't want to let go of that, like, aspect of her mortality.
Yeah. I dislike how little she's drinking this week, even after the captivity part. Mm-hmm. Because I hate when you're reading a book and the main character is a woman and she never eats. And I think I'm too stuck in that to, like, dissect the rest of her eating, because I'm like, we just read Phantasma and it would just constantly be talked about how she missed supper or she didn't have an appetite. And, like, I hate that imagery, and I hate that we're kind of going towards that in the world right now of, like, heroin chic, and, like, I don't like reading about it.
No. Well, it's just it's almost like sort of another look into, like, that, like, culture, like, skinny culture.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we have these heroines that are doing these amazing things, and, oh, look at me, sorry, I forgot to eat, or, oh, I'm so upset that I can't eat. But, like, and sure, that might be some people's experiences, but that's not everybody's experience.
Yeah.
And so, like, I feel like we're prioritizing this, like, narrative of, oh, like, people who are doing amazing things are not eating to do their amazing things. And it's like, no, that's not always the case. Like, we can do amazing things and still eat.
Well, yeah, if you look at, like, athletes, like, especially with the Olympics that had just passed, and obviously Alona Mara is such a big part of, like, showing that you can eat and be amazing at a sport. Like, obviously, if you look at any of the Olympics, everybody looks so different. Like, if one body was the best body type, then they'd all look the same, but everyone looks incredibly different because they're all training for different things and doing different things. So yeah, I'm a bit over, and it's not even like, I just don't like it being commented on so much. Cause, like, if they didn't even comment on skipping dinner, I probably wouldn't have I would have been like, oh, she ate just like she went to the bathroom, which we also don't get a play-by-play.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, it just seems, I feel like it's being shoved down my throat lately. And I know part of that is because of the book we just read. And this one started to feel like it. And I was like, I know it's because she's a captive. But then afterwards I was like, why aren't you eating now? But anyway, it's not really the point. So yeah, that was a very different tangent from where we are, but that's okay.
But it's true though, and it does need to be said that
100%. Yeah.
It's something that, and I'll be honest with you, I noticed them continuously commenting on the fact that she didn't get to eat, and I wrote about it in my notes, and I said she didn't eat again, like, when are they gonna feed her? But, like, until you said that it was something that you were really struggling with getting past, I didn't think about it as deeply as you did.
Yeah,
but now
that's
that
mostly
you're
because
it, I'm like, yes.
But we brought it up in our last book because it was like, holy shit, man!
Like, feed the poor
girl.
Like,
yeah. So, like, for it to be happening in multiple books, and I know, like, it's maybe not even intentional. It's like we're all probably around nearish same ages as these authors. They grew up in the same period we did of eat less. Like,
yeah,
it's just the way we were raised. So it's kind of subconscious in a way, I think. So it's not surprising that it's in books. But, you know, it's probably a good thing to call out because it's not what we should be striving for.
No. And, like, I understand they do it to be like, look how stressful the situation is. They can't even perform, like, a basic, like, you know, basic bodily function. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, I don't know, you can't expect somebody to complete these feats of, like, strength and, like, you know, do all of these amazing things without energy in their bodies.
Use magic.
Yeah.
Too. Like, yeah, that's... Which is supposed to take even more energy. I'm kind of hoping that this book won't go so far in that direction. But we'll see. So, back to the book. But Asar shows everyone that she has a tattoo, and the tattoo symbolizes Atraxis's blessing. And sorry, I forgot her name, Mische, thinks that it used to glow, and it was a phoenix with feathers around her elbow and flames. And Sasha used to tease her about the bird looking more like a firefinch. And Mische would argue that that just meant it was more approachable. But the tattoo is obviously completely covered by scars now, and it doesn't glow anymore. So, like, it's not as recognizable. And, like, Asar does say it's a symbol of the Order of the Destined Dawn, and that there's more useful things to do with a Dawn Drinker than butcher her. And Misha's kind of surprised that he knows what a Dawn Drinker is, and, like, that he called her that, and he knows, like, about the human nations, but she also has, like, a primal reaction to being called Dawn Drinker, because it's been so long. And I really think that there's going to be some connection to him, like, helping heal the human part of her in a way.
Yeah.
Egret obviously says it's an old tattoo, and, like, she definitely doesn't have the magic anymore because she was turned. But Asar says that Atraxis's magic is rare and he needs it for his tasks. And then he says he has a task from the Dark Mother, and Mische thinks Nyaxia, and that he needs her for it. And then Asar asks if she still has the magic. And I'm like, how does he know all of this? Like, sure, yesterday he could have seen... I guess so we're assuming, big assume, but he smells familiar, that yesterday he's the one that healed her. Yes. And he pulled up her sleeves, and obviously she had wounds on her arms for trying to light the candle. Yes. So I guess we're just assuming that he saw the tattoo, he saw that she had scars and wounds on her arms, and he was like, oh, she must still have the magic? Is that, like, how... Or did he find out some other way?
Oh, I don't know. But, like, right? But also, is he just going into, like, the jail cells or the dungeons or wherever she was kept? And, like, does he just routinely go in there and check on all the people being held hostage?
Because he's been, cough on cough, in the underworld. So why would he be even at the dungeons last night?
So yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like he must have known that she was there from the get-go and went specifically for her.
Which leads to me thinking that he's the one that found her in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know how he knows all of this. Anyway, I'm sure we'll figure some stuff out. So yeah, he asks if she still has the magic, and she just says yes. And she thinks she's doing it to save Rain and Aurea, like, the war they would have if she showed up dead.
Yeah.
And then she offers to show them. And she is just like, it's just like, what? You
haven't been able to do magic. It.
Yeah. For almost a year. What is this plan? But she thinks to herself that she knows she has nothing left to offer the god, and she is dirty, wretched, and irreparably stained by her mistakes, but she prays, and she says that she knows that she failed him and doesn't deserve it, but calls on him one last time, and she's met with silence. And I think this is last night when you kind of started comparing this relationship to an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
So, like, I just... I just, especially at this part where she's like, I know I don't deserve it. I know I'm the worst. But, like, it's almost like and, like, she's accepting the scars. So, like, every time she tries to use the magic, she's getting hurt. And she's like, yes, I deserve this. So it's almost like he's conditioned her to, like, believe that she deserves the pain. And, like, conditioning her to, like, know to think that she's a failure and, like, to think it's her fault. Just like with, like, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse. Like, so many people think that either they deserve it or that it's their fault. Like, oh, if, I put him in that bad mood, or, oh, if I didn't say this to her, it would be different. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where you condition the people that you're abusing to think that they deserve the abuse and that is their fault. So, like, I really took that out of their relationship because he only goes to her now, because it suits him, because it's a benefit to him. And, like, he's ignored her for years.
Yeah, he abandoned her.
And, he has literally been manipulating her into assuming, like, he obviously knows she's beaten herself up about it.
Yeah.
And, like, he calls her failure a failure when, like, we don't have the entire story, but, like, as things have been unfolding a little bit, like, again, there is no way she could have fought off being turned.
Yeah. I'm sure that it's going to be some way that he manipulated her into thinking she failed.
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely more to it. I obviously don't think that she failed, but I think that there's going to be something like, I think you even said it, like, there's going to be something kind of orchestrated about how it happened.
Yeah, well, like, she has admitted, like, maybe in a little bit, that he sent her on the mission to Obatreus, or Obitrius, or however you want to call it. So, like, he's the one who sent her to the land of the vampires to preach about light to a bunch of, like, people that would die. Like, I'm sorry, dude, no. And then she's taking all the blame.
Yeah, but that's why I'm like, there has to be something else that he sent her to do. Like, it can't have just been that.
No.
Like, there has to be some other reason he sent her there. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get there. But it really, the first thing that I kind of thought of when I was reading this part was, like, self-harm. When she was getting the scars. Which, like, it could be an allegory for that too. But more so in a, like,
she keeps
somebody.
Yeah. She keeps
somebody, like, pushing you to.
Yeah. The only reason I didn't think of self-harm is because, like, in my brain, she is accepting the scars and the sores and the blisters as a side, like, a consequence of her gift.
Yeah.
So, like, in my brain, that, not saying, so in my brain, that did not immediately jump to self-harm. But, like, I absolutely see it now that you mention it.
Yeah, it's really similar to, again, like, Vampire Academy. Like,
yes.
The self-harm, quote-unquote, in that book, which I think was closer to it was supposed to be self-harm, or an allegory of it, was a consequence of her magic. This isn't just magic. There's another being attached to it. So it's like, if somebody, which is, again, definition of an abusive relationship, if someone is pushing you to hurt yourself for them.
Yes.
It can be self-harm, but it is also abusive.
Yeah, it's like she is...
But I didn't really put that together either until we talked about it.
Yeah, it's almost like she is pushing herself to try and use the magic to sort of reaffirm her relationship with this person. So it's like she's self-harming to reaffirm her relationship with her loved one.
Yeah. Which, like, in abusive relationships, if they want you to look a certain way, like people starve themselves,
Yeah.
they work out too much, they like do all these things to look perfect. It is very similar to.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we're going to get more about their relationship and how abusive it is. But then she hears Atroxus's voice.
Can I just,
and
sorry.
he says,
Can I just add in? So, we're in the third book of the series, right? The Crowns of Nyaxia series. So we've met Nyaxia as a goddess.
Yeah.
We've met we will be meeting Atroxus as a god. We met a third Mrs. that I'm not 100% sure on. And we don't know her motivations yet, or if she had them. Can I just say I really hope Alaris is, like, a good guy. Like, I hope at least one of the gods and goddesses are, like, a good guy. Or, like, a good, or, like, a good,
nice.
good, I don't want to say person, because they're, like,
gods.
But, like,
a good being.
Because, you know what I mean? Like, Nyaxia seems like a straight-up bitch.
Yeah.
Atroxus seems like a straight-up asshole.
Yeah.
I don't remember enough about the other misses for it to be consequential.
But it seems she care about love or something.
Well, but did she, or was she just trying to step on Nyaxia's toes?
Yeah, I really don't
what
remember
I mean? Like,
who it was.
Sort of a little bit. So, like, I just hope that Alaris is like a good dude.
Well,
if we meet him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that was a big old spoiler because we haven't even gotten there yet, but like, sorry.
If you're listening to this part, you should have at least read this week's.
Yeah.
I hope. So yeah, she then hears Atroxus's voice, and he says, "I see you, Amara. Open your hand." And warmth floods through her and lights up her soul, and flame blossoms in her palm. And she feels like the child in the prologue all over again. And she grins, and she has to force herself not to cry because obviously she doesn't want to cry in front of all of her enemies. And she looks up at Asar and says, "See, I still have it." But it does, like, if this didn't happen, Atroxus never would have given her magic, and she would have just died here.
Yeah.
Like, if Asar didn't come in, like, he's not doing this to save her life.
No.
He's doing it for his own agenda. So anyway, Raoul then says, "Take her to the underworld. That'll be punishment enough." And Mische is kind of confused, but Asar just takes her chains. And Ygritte says in her head, she could have had a clean death, but instead she volunteered for something far worse. And we're like, dun dun dun.
Yeah.
So Asar holds her chains and they walk outside, and he only seems comfortable once he gets out. And it just kind of, I think, is supposed to show that, like, he's not like them.
He's not one of them.
Yeah. So Mische keeps summoning sparks to her fingertips, and she's so happy that she has her magic back. And she walks into him at one point, and I thought it was going to be like a moment, but it's really not. He's just like, don't touch me. I'm like, okay.
It's like, sorry.
Yeah. And then she just asks him, like, rapid fire questions without stopping. She's like, "Do you have a mission from Nyaxia? What about the underworld? Like, why do you need me?" And like on. And then she stops herself, but he just ignores her. And it's like all the questions we have, but he's not going to tell us. And then she kind of wonders how much is true about, like, how much of a monster he is. And then she's just like, thanks him for saving her life. And he says he didn't do her a favor. Because obviously we got to put them in the enemies categories.
Yep.
But then he kind of changes the subject and he asks why she keeps summoning her magic. And she kind of just ignores that and asks where they're going. And he's just like, "Where do you think?" And she feels him kind of like probing at her head, but I think she keeps him out. But she says that he's gentler than Ygritte is and more familiar. And comes back to, shit, was this... We were talking about mates this episode, right? Mm-hmm. Not the deleted one.
I mean, I think we've been... I don't think we went super into it. I don't know.
I think it was. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't it?
That familiar feeling to me of his prodding her brain feels familiar is reminiscent to me of mates.
Is it?
Because they haven't met, so why, like, I just think there's something more to it than just being. Like, he feels more familiar to her than her maker's full sibling. So, like, there's got to be something there.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. So she tells him to stop prodding, and he asks, like, where she thinks they're going, and she says Morthrin. And we get that it's a prison created by the gods long before vampires existed. And each of the vampire houses guard a site of great divine power. The House of Night has the Moon Palace for the Kjari tournament, and it's in Nyaxia's honor. The House of Blood has the barren fields where Alaris, the god of death, was murdered and dismembered. And the House of Shadow has Morthrin. And she just knows it as like a cursed place. So she asks more questions, but he cuts in and he kind of just implies like he's not doing a mercy for her. Like, he actually needs her. She's useful. She's a tool, basically. He doesn't need her help. She's more a tool. Mm-hmm. And then she kind of wonders if Atraxos gave her back her powers to free herself. So she backs up a bit and she says that she was just asking questions, and he reaches for her. And she calls on the sun, and she goes to hit him, but Atraxos says, "Not yet, Amara. This is not the time. Wait for me." And she's distracted by that because I think later she says that she actually hasn't heard Atraxos' voice since she was turned. Even when she did get his power, he wouldn't speak to her when she was turned. Which is, again, classic manipulation. But he dodges it and says it was a waste of time and, like, uses his magic to knock her out. Which also reminds me of Akatar, the first book, where Tamlin's just like, "You're talking too much," and, like, puts her to sleep on the horse. So Mische wakes up and she's lying on Sasha's lap. And Sasha is showing her the sun rising between two mountains and says the Lord of Light is on their side. Because they survived another night and they will again. And we kind of get that, like, Sasha has always been a follower of Atraxos. And Mische, like, nestles into her sister and the sun, and then it's all too hot, and she starts to yell for Sasha to help. But then Sasha's throat is slit, and she's on the ground, and she calls to Atraxos to save her, but it's too late. And then blood pours out of Mische's mouth, and, like, the sun is on her, and fire takes her in the end. And I was just like, did she kill her sister? Like, I don't really know. I don't really understand what's happening here. I'm sure we'll get it sooner than later again, but, like, we kind of get that these are the nightmares that she's had since she was turned.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's probably just like her sister was there when she was turned. But again, with all these interludes and stuff, we're definitely going to get the exact story.
Yeah.
But for a second, I was just like, did she kill her?
I think she feels responsible for it anyway. Like, even though I don't know, I don't think she killed her sister.
Yeah.
Or, like, who knows? Maybe she did, man. But, like, I think she loved her sister. I don't think she intentionally killed her sister. But I think she harbors the guilt that it was her fault. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and it, like, I don't really remember what these vampires are like. Like, when they're first turned, are they immediately like, I'm going to kill everyone around me?
Yeah.
Like.
So, that was my thought. So, like, if she did kill her sister, it was because she was in, like, a blood... Yeah. Like some sort of blood haze.
Yeah, exactly. So she actually wakes up and her fingers are covered in blood from scratching her arms. And we kind of get that, like, she actually used to have the dreams, like I said, since she was turned, but they weren't so bad when she was with Rain. But now, since the Kajari and losing her magic, the nightmares are back and they're really bad again. So that's sad. Mm-hmm. And then she just like wakes up in a room, and I thought there was going to be more to this, but the room just has like nothing. Like there's no floor, no ceiling, no walls. It's just a room of nothing. And like we don't know if that means that it's dark or that there's literally nothing there.
Yeah, who knows?
Don't know. So she yells out hello, but it just echoes, and she thinks like Morthrin is more than a prison. Okay. And we also get that, like, she obviously is a priestess and, like, somebody who was chosen by a god. She knows more about the gods and faith and, like, believes more in that kind of stuff than our characters in past books, which is just kind of interesting.
Yeah, she's a lot more, I will say, devout than... she's a lot more devout than I initially anticipated. Like, getting to know her in the last couple of books. Like, she is very devout.
Yeah. And I think that's, like, where we're going to get the abusive relationship into play. But also just, like, her knowledge of all this stuff. I do enjoy how much she knows.
Yeah.
So, a skull comes towards her there, and it's like basically a wolf skeleton guy. We find out later is girl, but she like sinks down to like pet it and be like, I'm a friend, but it just tells her to follow using its mind into her head. And then tendrils of darkness wrap around her wrist, and she can see a doorway behind it, and it has an eye on it, which she knows is the mark of Alaris, who is the god of death, and the wolf guy says follow again. So she walks through, and it's like a beautiful mirrored floor, and there's like balls of light hovering in the ceiling, and she's just surprised by how beautiful everything is. And there's multiple columns around, and they have like arches like she just came through, but everything is bricked over. And the door that she just came through is now bricked over too. So there's many ways to get to this one place that don't necessarily make sense with layouts of a place. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the wolf like brings her forward. She goes through some hallways. She gets to a door, and the wolf nudges it open, and they walk through, and the door slams, and she just hears like a too fast tick-tock, which makes me believe that time moves faster in this world, in the underworld.
Oh, you think?
Because why would you mention that the tick-tock is like too fast?
That's a good point.
Yeah. I didn't really think of it until right now, but it's a possibility. And this room is like a study, and it's super gorgeous, and there's roses coiling up bookcases, and there's a dying fire in the fireplace, and a desk with open books and papers. And she's looking around at artifacts. Like, there's literally a horse skull with a silver horn that's like a unicorn. And then there's other bone artifacts, and there's different bottles of blood. So there's red, which we know is human, black is vampire. Gold, I think we said could be a god's. We did see God's blood in the last book, but I don't really remember. But Mische doesn't know. And there's indigo and silver as well. So,
do you think silver is werewolf blood?
I was thinking unicorn.
Oh,
but only because of Harry Potter. Yeah, but then she sees weapons, and there's like a blade on the wall, and there's like, it's actually in pieces, but they're magically pinned together. So I was immediately like, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Always. And it is missing some pieces, so I wonder if we'll find those in this book. And then there's a black rapier glowing purple with silver flower petals on the hilt, and she reaches out to it, but the wolf growls at her, and she apologizes, but she asks if it's Nyaxia's, which is interesting, like a god's weapon. I'm like, is that gonna come up later? Oh shit.
Oh, I don't know.
Is this what we're going to talk about in your part? I wonder. We'll get there. So she hears a door open and a red light spills out towards her, and she walks towards it, and the wolf barks, and she's just like, I wasn't going to. And Asar shows up and he says, I wasn't expecting you yet. And of course, he doesn't have a shirt on. He's half naked.
Woo!
And he's covered in human blood, which she can tell because she's starving. And she stares at his scar-covered chest, and he's just like, my eyes are up here.
And I love it.
So hilarious. And she goes to say something, but he cuts her off and says that he's used to being stared at.
Which is sad,
and
actually.
It is super sad, because she's like, she actually thinks to herself that she's not sure if she was like, if she would have said, sorry, I was staring at your scar, or sorry, I was staring because you're so fucking hot. Like,
yeah, it was like, what's better? I was, sorry, I was totally like, what's it called? When you like, oh, I was objectifying you?
Mesmerized?
No, like, sorry, I was objectifying you, or sorry, your scars are so grotesque.
Yeah, like, really.
I don't think there's a right answer. I think staying quiet was probably correct.
I agree.
But I will say I do enjoy the fact that they added that in as a way of like, men can definitely also be objectified.
Yes, and also showing us that she does find him attractive.
Well, yes. But like...
But yeah.
I don't know.
100%.
I'm starting to see it in a little bit of like an annoying way on like, so like on TV and social media and stuff, like the show 8 out of 10 Cats does countdown, right? 8 out of 10 Cats
countdown one,
does countdown. And there's a guy on there, like the guys that come out sort of like Vanna White.
Oh yeah.
Fabio is his quote unquote name. I don't think that's his real name, but like,
I don't think so
but
either.
and he literally comes out in a little Speedo usually, and like that's it. And like,
yeah, and he's portrayed as pretty
dumb.
Stupid. Yeah.
And like, if that was a woman and they did the same things, there would be outrage. But because it's a man, it's different.
I do think that they are playing on the stereotype of usually it is a woman that is in that role.
Oh, you think it's
like normally it is the
satire.
Like, yeah, normally like The Price is Right. It's the women that in their high heels that are like showing off the show. Like they're like, look at this, and like they don't say anything. They don't act stupid either. Like I do think that that's just something they added for the comedy of it. But I do think it is a play on like normally it is the hot woman just doing it. But I don't know. That's how I take it. And also I do think that men love guys, muscly guys, more than women do anyway. And I mean 100% straight men love to look at other men's muscles more than I think 100% straight women do.
Yeah, maybe.
The dad bod was popular for a reason. But anyway. Yeah. He puts on a shirt. And he comes back out and he says that the wolf brought her early, and he calls the wolf Lucy. So we've got a name. Asara then like washes the blood off of his hands, and I kind of wonder if this is going to be a thing too, because he says that she's hungry and she just immediately says that she's not, and she kind of goes in a different direction and says that his collection is incredible. And he cuts her off and says that he's been the warden of Morthrin for more than a century and dealt with better liars, more charming manipulators, and more beautiful women than her.
Yikes.
So don't bother. And she's just like, huh, more beautiful women. Does that mean he thinks I'm beautiful or not? Like, that's what she took out of that sentence.
I would absolutely think not. I would be like, oh my god, he thinks I'm hideous.
But is that her, like, confidence in herself?
Well, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. But I wonder, because of this, he was like, you're hungry. Is he going to be aware of that often?
Oh, you think
going
he's
forward?
Gonna, like, take care of her?
Yeah. Even though he probably doesn't want to. But, like, I wonder if that's going to become a thing. And it only just came to me now.
Yeah.
And maybe it won't be anything. So, yeah. He calls her Mische Ilia, I think. Something like that. I'm not sure how you say it. But it's her human name. And she actually hasn't heard her last name in, like, ages. No one calls her that.
Yeah.
And it kind of becomes a runner with him. And then he goes on and says that she was born in Slanka, and she was 8 when she joined the Order of the Destined Dawn. And she served as a crusader for a decade, and at 19 traveled to Obatreus, where she was turned by his beloved late brother, Malik. And he says all that with sarcasm. Not all of it. He says the end of that with sarcasm. Beloved is the word he says with sarcasm. And then he says that she befriended Rain Ashraj and competed in the Kajari and helped him overthrow a kingdom and murdered Malik. And he says then that was a great service to us all, so thank you. And then he's like, now you're here. And he asks her if he missed anything. And she's just like, he summed up her human life, barely surviving as a child, and then offering her entire life to Atraxis and her sacred mission, and then her turning. Like, he summed up all of that in, like, 2 sentences. But I do think that this is what she thinks of what he just said. It shows that she does put more emphasis on her 19 years as a human than the last 50 years as a vampire. Because, like, objectively, almost triple the amount of time she spent a vampire. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't say a thing about how he missed anything there. Maybe it took her 49 years to befriend Rain. Who knows? And then she tells him she wasn't a crusader, but she was a priestess. And he just shows her skulls and says that was all that was left of one of the oldest Shadowborn bloodlines after Dawn Drinker missionaries were done. And showing them the path of the light. And she, like, looks up at them, and there's, like, a very tiny skull there. So, like, obviously her people killed vampires.
Yeah.
And it's like, you feel bad, but you're also like, vampires kill people.
Yeah, especially in, like, the Night Court, or, like, you know, Rain and Araya's, like, she was literally, like, helping keep humans alive because they were just using the human part of town as, like, a hunting ground. So, like, you know.
And, like, I guess we don't know how the House of Shadow does it yet. Like, maybe they don't do that.
Maybe not.
I doubt it, but who knows?
Now, I will say, though, that, like, I really like this whole, like, missionary, like, him sort of showing her, like, hey, you're a missionary, but, like, missionaries were assholes too.
Yeah.
Because, like, it just, to me, harkens back to, like, obviously not as much now. And, like, I'm also talking as somebody who's not super, like, I'm not super worldly. But, like, at the time, like, years and years and years ago, missionaries would go to, like, you know, we have missionaries, we had colonizers, they would go to, you know, places, and they would take over, and they would kill the indigenous population of people, and they would think that they were doing it the right thing, right? Like, we have a history here in Canada of residential schools where children were taken from their families, and the quote-unquote indigenous was beaten out of them.
Yeah.
Because
and it really not that long
No.
ago. Like the last one was in the 80s.
yeah, and like it's funny because I was teaching that actually last year, and I had a student in my class, and his family was very heavily involved with church, and like, you know, very, very heavily Christian. He was in a Christian band. Like, he was probably one of the most religious kids in my class. And I was saying that a lot of these residential schools were run by Christian churches, and he was floored. He had no idea. He was like, "Are you saying that like priests did this?" And I said, "Yeah, priests and nuns, like Christian churches, like they were." And he had no clue. And his family did a ton of missionary work, and he had no clue that the church had a history of like violence.
Yeah. I thought you were going to talk about them going to like taking Christianity to like other
but that
countries.
too, you know,
still,
that's sort of like the thing now is like you take your religion to like a place and be like, hey, we'll build you a school if you convert, which is also just awful and stupid. Like, if you want to help people, there shouldn't be conditions attached. But anyway, that's beside the point. But like, just this whole history of missionaries like committing acts of violence, like that was normal.
Yeah.
So like this whole her being like, oh, that wasn't me, and it's like, you were a part of that system. Whether you want to claim innocence or not, you were a part of that system.
Yeah, but like, where do we draw the line of like being brought up into something that is cult-like? Like, she was 19 when she was turned too. It's like, when are you supposed to turn on the only people that have ever cared about you and loved you?
But I feel like you can see the honesty and you can see the truth in the system without turning on your loved ones. Like,
but I just mean, like, she had her sister, but anybody else that was ever any bit nice to her or gave them anything, without the cult that they ended up in, they would have died.
Yeah.
So if she turned her back on them, like, I just think it would take longer. You're being indoctrinated. For her, it was 11 years that she was being indoctrinated into this cult. Like, even if she did think, oh, something was wrong, like, her sister was full in it, too. Yeah. Like, she's not going to turn her back on her sister and leave her at, like,
No, but I also, I'm not suggesting, too, that she had to leave or anything like that. Like, I know she was indoctrinated, but, like, just being aware of it and, like, even seeing that, like, kid skull and being like, instead of being like, well, I was a scholar, so, like, I wasn't involved in that. Well, no, you were complicit. So, like, even just, like, admitting and being like, oh, shit, my bad. You know what I mean? Like, accountability. It's like, I didn't personally run any residential schools, but I could say, shit, I'm an ancestor, like my ancestors did. Sorry about that.
Yes, but that's not the norm of people either. Just because we realize that, that's not what most people think,
I guess.
But I just mean, like, she has to admit it to herself before she can admit it to him, and she hasn't admitted it to herself either.
Fair point.
But, like, I don't necessarily, I can't necessarily blame her at 19 for not realizing. And now, like...
No, and she's sort of stuck.
I don't know how much she's reflected on anything.
She's sort of like, stuck at 19, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem like that. Yeah. But I do get what you're saying, because I do feel like him pointing that out now is causing her to kind of be like... She kind of does reflect, and she even thinks to herself that, like, she has a long neglected memory of chains splattered with black blood, and she feels dishonest saying that she was more of a scholar. And I do think that, like, she probably wasn't actually active in any of the, like, killing vampires.
Correct.
But it's also like, I'm not equating indigenous people to vampires. It's completely different.
Are not. We're not doing that.
So, like, but I want to be like, but they're vampires too. So, like, can we really blame her for being like, yeah, my church kills vampires? Like, I'd be like, oh, that's kind of cool. I wouldn't be like, that's bad because they're like, you know?
I guess, but like, also, where do you draw the line at like children? Like, they are children.
Yeah. But if
like,
they're still a parasite, if they're still eating humans.
No. Last book, when we found out that Vincent literally murdered every single person in his family, including the children, we were outraged.
Yeah.
And they were vampire children.
Because we were reading a book where we were empathizing with the vampires, which we still are. But I'm just saying, like, if you're a human living in a world of vampires, you're not going to feel bad about vampires dying.
No, I guess not. Yeah, no, you have...
It's like if you're a fish and there's sharks. You're not going to feel bad if the sharks are dying. I feel bad. I love them. Yeah. But...
No, you're right.
It's just, we don't have the equivalent of it. So it's kind of like, unless... If vampires are real, please let us know in the comments.
Please, we need this.
So... We do. But I think there's going to be a lot more to all of this. Because, like she said, long neglected memory of chains splattered with black, which is obviously vampire blood. So, like, there's some stuff that she's still repressing. And I do think that, like, she's just repressed all of her trauma. And, like, she really could have gone to therapy in the last 50 years.
I feel like it's like our motto. We just need therapy.
Yeah. We're gonna be sponsored by BetterHelp soon. Not actually. I've heard that they're not actually that good, so I don't know anything about it.
Well, you just killed any potential sponsorship.
Well, they can prove me wrong. If they give us a code, I'll try it. So yeah. I feel like we're just getting so much deeper into things because we just don't want to have the same conversations we had before. Yeah. Not that we're not trying to have them, but we already had them.
Yeah.
So we're getting even deeper into other things. Okay. So he doesn't believe her, obviously, because she feels some dishonesty, and I think he can obviously pick up on
her,
some things. Yeah. Like he's digging into her
repressiveness-ish.
Yeah. And he says that everyone in Morthrin deserves to be here.
Insinuating
Which,
her.
like, yeah. And I'm like... Does she?
You don't know her, dude.
But, like, we think we know her, but we don't really know her either. So I'm like, what are we not being told? I need to know. But anyway, so, okay. And... he says that she's more useful here than dead. And there's one thing that he doesn't understand. And he's like, the fire. And like why she still has it after she turned. And she says that she is an acolyte of Atraxis. And he's like, interesting. Like you're talking about that in the present tense, not in like the past tense. And he says like most turned are abandoned. And he's like, why you? And... he says even she has had to sacrifice to keep the gifts, and she thinks he has no idea what she's done to keep Atraxis's love. And I'm like, what else did she do?
Yeah, what have you done?
Yeah. And she just tells him that she's just special, which is just like a wild choice.
That's nice.
Yeah, like imagine the cockiness and the like... But truly, you must feel special if you're the only one that kept your magic after turning when everyone else loses it. Like, it's not even...
It's not a lie.
Yeah. So they stare each other down, of course, and then he walks over to her and he puts his hand on her chest and black lines etch into her and darkness, like, wells in her heart. And I'm just like, what the fuck is he doing? But she puts her hand to her chest, but, like, touches his hand because his hand is there. And she looks up at him, and she feels an innate connecting bond with him. And she can feel curiosity, anger, determination, and fear from him. So I think that there's something going on because, like, when she touched his hand earlier, she felt his surprise. And now she's touching his hand and she's feeling this. I'm like, in certain situations, it seems like she can feel his emotions when she's touching him. I don't know if it happens all the time, but it's happening here. But he pulls his hand away and he tells her that he just, like, did a spell on her that gave her an anchor so she doesn't get lost on their journey. And she's like, oh, cool. I know what anchors are. That makes sense. But she realizes in that moment that it was him in her cell helping her before his father's party. And he tells her that she was too useful to kill. And again, we're like, how did he know she was there?
Yep.
And she wants to ask him about the connection, but says that, but just can't. But she says she didn't know his magic could heal. And he says that all magic that can destroy can heal, and a scholar should know that. Which just seems like a wild thing to say.
But not really, because, like, she's saying she's a scholar, but is she a scholar, or is she a scholar in her cult's terms? Like, what has she had access to? So, like, I honestly just think that she has had limited access to information and therefore doesn't know, like...
Yeah. Do we think that, like, Rain knows that power? Like, because, like, I feel like his power is mostly dark. Can his heal too?
No, I feel like...
I don't remember.
As much as I enjoy Rain, he doesn't really seem like a research-oriented individual.
No, but you think he'd, like, try enough shit that he figured out. He'd be the kind to stumble in on it.
Maybe.
But, like, I don't know if that counts for his magic either. So it's just kind of interesting. Yeah. And then he tells her that he needs her help. And they go into a circular room that's covered in glyphs. And there's a corpse of a middle-aged woman in white silk in the middle. And she's like, oh my god, you're a necromancer.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So, like, she noticed all the glyphs and she recognized a lot of them and, like, what they mean. And knows that it's like, oh, this necromancy magic. So he just, like, admits it. He's like, yeah, I'm a necromancer. Like, essentially, like, what are you gonna do about it? But then we get a little bit of backstory that, like, necromancy is super taboo with both humans and vampires. So, like, no one likes it.
Yeah.
So, like, humans just thought it was, like, a scary myth and not possible. But vampires think that it's, like, dangerous to tamper with the veil between the living and the dead. And it's also an insult to Nyaxia when you perform necromancy. So, like, necromancy is, like, forbidden. No one does it.
Yeah.
So she's super, like, her sensibilities are super shocked that he's like, you're breaking the rules. Which is just funny because we learn later on that he loves following rules.
Mm-hmm.
But not in this case.
Yeah, and we also don't know what exactly Nyaxia told him to do. She might have been like, try some humans. See if you can do it.
Yeah. So Mische admits to herself that, like, she's always been a little bit fascinated by the topic of necromancy. And she did spend time reading about it when she was a child. And that sort of just, like, cements to me that, like, she's sort of, like, a Wednesday Addams a little bit. Like, she mentions several times that she has had interest in sort of darker things, but I guess hasn't really had the opportunity to full on, like, learn about it.
Mm-hmm.
But now it seems like she might be getting an opportunity to learn about things that, like, sort of wasn't okay in the past. So, she can tell that the glyphs and the symbols are really, like, precise and, like, done by a true craftsman. So, like, she's really intrigued by him and his talent, even though she doesn't really want to be. So, like, again, it's just an instance of her being unexplainably drawn to him.
Yeah.
So, like, she says, like, I'm surprised that you're breaking the law to do this. And he just has to remind her, he's like, this is essentially my job. Like, I'm the king's sort of, not his right hand, but like, he does all the king's dirty work. So, like, he does everything for the king, so the king doesn't have to get his hands dirty. So, like, I feel like this is essentially Asar's job to, like, break the law and do things that the king wants.
There has to be a name for that. I just can't think of... Enforcer,
yeah, maybe.
Okay. We'll say that.
Yeah. So, he needs her help. So she gets closer and notices that there are 5 interlocking circles around the body, and each one has an item in it except for one. And this gets really important later on. This is like the whole sort of like plot of the book, I'll say. So like Asar explains that a mortal person is comprised of 5 elements that separate the living from the dead. So body, breath, psyche, secrets, and soul. So in each circle that represents one of those 5 aspects. So in body, he has a piece of the corpse's hair, which he says is symbolic because he actually has the body. Breath, he has a flute, and we already said, like, we have no idea whether that's her flute or just a flute.
Yeah, it feels like it should be hers, but...
Feels like it should be.
Who knows?
Psyche, so he has a gold necklace that has like a symbol on it that Mische thinks is really familiar. Secrets, and he's got like a blood-soaked handkerchief, like a piece of fabric or something.
When I read it, I thought it had... She was like, it's like a baby's blanket. I was like, did this person kill a baby?
Oh, was it? I just thought it was a piece of fabric.
Oh, maybe.
Anyway, and then the last circle was soul, and it had nothing in that one. But he asks her, he said, I need some of Atroxus's magic, because this woman was also an acolyte. So the magic would be beneficial, would be relevant. And he tells her that, like, this woman was a prisoner here, and he wants to get 2 acolytes of Atroxus to take to the underworld, just in case one of them dies.
Even though he's a necromancer and could bring them back.
Yeah, but I guess...
Too much work.
Yeah. Okay, so a tiny blood-stained blanket. It was small and once had been white, but now it was covered with red-black blood. Whether it was vampire blood or old dried human blood, I couldn't tell.
Oh, okay. I guess I heard small blanket and was like, a baby!
Oh, yeah. And I said, oh, fabric. Anyway, so, like, Mische doesn't want to participate. She doesn't explicitly want to, like, use Atroxus's magic and like put it in the circle because that's like directly helping, and she's worried that by participating in the dark arts, like Atroxus's magic will, like, his favor will immediately disappear.
Yeah, which is fair.
Yeah,
because he's done it before.
Yeah. So Asar sort of like concedes and says, okay, how about you light this candle and then I'll use the candle like in the thing. So like she's not directly helping, it's only indirect. And then he says, like, don't worry, I got the rest. So she lights the candle, she gets another burn on her arm, and then she asks what the human's name is, and her name is Chandra. She's about like 70, so she's oldish. And he tells her, like, okay, I'm good, I don't need you anymore, like, go rest. But she instead is like, what's our mission? Like, what is Nyaxia asking you to do? And, like, he's just sort of like, think about it. Like, use your brain. So she has to, like, deduce it in front of him, which I find really funny.
Yeah.
So she's like, well, I guess we're going to the underworld. So I guess we're going to bring someone back, because she's putting together this whole necromancy thing. and go to the underworld. And he's like, yeah, who would Nyaxia want to be, like, who would she want to see resurrected the most? And she's like, oh, shit, probably her husband. And I'm like, well, yeah, probably. And she's like, well, shit, Atraxis killed him. So, like, this is a bit of a conflict of interest.
Yes.
And Asara's kind of like, well, you got it. You're right. We are... So that's what they have to do. They have to go to the underworld, get get Alaris. There's too many A names.
There is.
There's Atraxis. There's Alaris. There's Asar. Then Atraxis calls Mische Amara. Like, what's with all the A's? Like, find a new letter. Anyway, so... Yeah, he just says, yeah, you're right, we're gonna resurrect Alaris. So then, Mische goes back to her cell to rest and looks at her new wound, and, like, she then notices the tattoo she got and thinks about how, like, beautiful it used to be, and just, like, sends her sort of in, like, a spiral of, like, memory, I guess. Thinking about how easy it used to be to pray to Atraxis back then and, like, use his magic. And when she would pray to him, he would always answer. But then when she was turned, he stopped. And, like, he wouldn't answer her at all. But she would still say her prayers and hymns every day. Just to, like, because she still had the magic. So she was just thinking... oh, you know, like, he's mad, maybe, like, he's mad at me or something like that. Like, she didn't lose his favor completely, so that's why she kept praying. Yeah. But then, a year ago, sort of without ceremony, he just takes it away. So then she sort of stopped praying. But now, she has it back, and she says that she can't stand the silence. So, like, she doesn't want to speak to him because she's worried he won't respond.
Yeah, of course.
So, but she does say, like, it feels different. She knows that if she did answer him, he would respond. Like, I guess she could sort of feel his presence maybe a little bit. But she doesn't want to talk to him right now. So, she goes to sleep. So she wakes up to somebody calling her Amara, and obviously it's Atraxis. And he says he's come to visit her. Amara actually translates to my bride of the sun, and only a few people get that title. So, like, she is special. Yeah. She immediately starts crying because he has not appeared before her since she was turned. And so, yeah, she immediately starts crying, and it's like, I knew it, I knew you didn't, like, abandon me. But a part of her is annoyed that he did abandon her.
Yeah, fair.
And he tells her, like, he's just here to discuss, essentially, Asar's plan to resurrect Alaris. And she's like, oh, what do you mean? And he says, like, I thought these were all just rumors, but then I was spying using your tattoo. And I got confirmation that that's what they were going to do. So I kind of like that they were calling her a spy the entire time. And she was like, I'm not a spy, but, like, she was.
Yeah, 100%.
And then he tells her that this plan of Nyaxia's to, like, resurrect Alaris is an abomination and it cannot be done. And I'm like, but yet you want it to be done.
Yeah, it is like, you're telling her she has to do it, but she shouldn't. Okay?
Yeah. And then he tells her that no god can kill another god because it stops them from, like, all killing each other and, like, infighting and stuff. But he says they were really angry when Nyaxia and Alaris got married, and in my brain I'm like, why? Like, what does it matter? Like, if that was the only issue, you know what I mean? Like, if the only issue was that they were married, like, dude, leave them alone. Obviously, if they got married and Nyaxia was like, okay, now let's take over the world, then I would be like, I see it. I see why they did that. But, like, if it literally was just, I love you, let's get married, okay. No, we can't abide by this. We need to kill you. Then I have qualms.
Yeah. I'm actually going to try to figure that out from the last two books. See if we could figure out the reason. I'm sure they gave us more in the last duet, but I completely forget. No. And I tried to look it up last night, but I am very afraid of spoilers.
Yeah. So, after they were married, the white pantheon of gods and goddesses lured Alaris to a private meeting and just chopped him up into tiny pieces and just scattered them around. And they sort of were like, hopefully that's enough to kill him. But obviously it wasn't. Well, it was. But he's not destroyed.
Yeah.
So Mische is sort of annoyed because it seems like he gave her back her power for his own personal gain. And, like, not because she showed true, like, devotion. And it's like, well, yeah, he's a god. Like, what do you expect? That's what I don't understand. Like, what do you expect from a god who's completely self-centered? And they all are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So she asks, like, why this is happening now. Because, like, Alaris has been dead for thousands of years. So, like, why is she moving now? And Atraxis just tells her that it's because of what happened, I'm saying, in the last book. So,
yeah.
In the last book, I guess Araya... so I guess Rain, like, died. Spoiler alert.
I can't imagine you'd be reading this book if you didn't read the last one. But yes.
So Rain died, and Araya asked Nyaxia to grant them, like, the blood bond or whatever so that he could live. And Nyaxia said, hell no, because she liked having the two factions of winged vampires fighting over her. So she said no. However, then another goddess came down, and I think it's like one of the human goddesses of, I think it was like the one that allowed you to see in the future, because it was her mom's goddess.
Oh, yes, you're so smart. Good job.
But that's as far as I got. I don't remember her name.
No, her name doesn't matter. She's gonna, like, lightning's gonna come down and strike me now I said that.
Anyway, so, like, I guess Nyaxia, so, like, this other goddess came down, and she did grant them the oath. So, like, he lived. So that they could be together. And I guess Nyaxia is pissed that another goddess seems to be, like, moving in on her kids. Like, vampires are all supposed to be all hers.
Yeah. Well, she created them in her temper tantrum, apparently.
Yeah.
I think after Alaris died.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so you killed him, and she fucked with shit. So, like, seems like you made the wrong choice.
Yeah. So she's also, like, so in addition to her being pissed that it seems like the other goddess is sort of moving in on her kids, Nyaxia is, like, hungry for power, and she wants to stake her own claim, but she's also pissed that people are using her husband's bones for power. So that was a big plot point in the last book, was that they were found his teeth especially, and they were, like, oozing with power. They used it to help win the war.
Yeah. Which is, like, yeah, super...
It's disrespectful.
Disrespectful, yeah. Yes. Thank you.
But, anyway. So, Atraxis also tells her that, like, if if Alaris is resurrected, it will split apart the world because of the amount of power it will take. And that, like, if Nyaxia isn't stopped, she's going to destroy everything and everyone. And I'm like, okay, so he wants her to like, make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he's like, no, you have to make sure it happens. And it's like, you just said it was going to split apart the world. Like, do you not, like,
Yeah.
This is where I don't like about gods, because they're all, like, so flippant about mortal lives. They're like, what?
Yeah.
Split apart the world? I don't care. We'll just make it again. But, like, that doesn't happen that's not how people work.
Yeah.
So, like, he just says, he's like, there's something we need to do once Atraxis is Alaris. Oh my god, all the A names, I'm gonna keep mixing them up. Once Alaris is resurrected, Mische has to kill him, because this is their one shot at truly killing him, because he'll be so fragile. And she is shocked.
Of course. What do you mean, kill a god?
I feel like she constantly has these feelings of, like, me kill a god? Like, that's not something you would ask of me. That's something you'd ask of Araya or Rain. Like, that's not something you would charge me with.
Yeah. But also any mortal killing a god, it's like, what do you mean?
Yeah. So then he also tells her that they will have her and Asar will have to travel through the 5 sanctums of the descent in order to reach the underworld, and they have to get a relic from each one. And it turns out that Alaris actually put the relics there before he died, which we will find out shortly, that's how he made those places. Mm-hmm. And then Atraxis even says, like, I couldn't change my brother's magic, but I could alter it slightly. So that's why Asar needs acolytes from Atraxis, because they are going to find the relics, because they're the only ones that can touch them. Mm-hmm. He also tells her that she will find a weapon on her way that she will instinctually know is the weapon that she needs to use to kill him.
I wondered this read through if that was the, like, rapier that she saw that was Nyaxia's. Because maybe Asar found it somewhere along the descent.
I would find it really funny if it was like something ridiculous as a weapon. Like a rubber gavel or something like that. Like,
yeah.
I would just find that really funny.
That'd be good.
He also mentions, like, he doesn't want to tell her any more than that, because he doesn't want, like, the guy to use his Shadowborn magic on her and, like, reveal everything in her brain.
Of course.
So she's still obviously reeling about having to kill a god, and she thinks back actually to her wedding day, and she was 16 when she got married, which is sort of ew.
Well, I also was like, what do you mean your wedding day?
Yeah.
But we get it. We get it here.
Yeah, so, like, sort of similar, I guess, to, like, nuns and stuff who take, like, vows of chastity and they're, like, officially married to God. But, like, I feel like she's the same in that it's part of her faith to be, like, officially married to the sun god. The only difference is they actually consummated the marriage, so that it's like it's a physical thing as well as a intangible, like, just faith-based thing.
Yeah. Well, she gave him everything.
Yeah. So she just thinks about how lucky she is and, like, how special she must be because he chose her out of everybody. Like, or not how special she was, but, like, he's the one who made her special. So, like, essentially, like, it's just more, like, shit about how, depressed and, like, how much she needs to see a counselor, because she's like, I wasn't special. He made me special. Like, you know what I mean? Like, her worth is 100% tied up in him.
Yeah.
So she just asks, like, why is he choosing her now when she failed him so long ago? And he said that he sent her to Obitrius to spread his light, and she got turned around instead. So again, it's one of those things where she is to blame. It's not his fault. It's just all her. And then she got turned when she went to, like, spread his light. And he just tells her that, like, he blessed her in the first place because he could smell her fate. And right now it smells of revelation, even now beneath the rot. So, like, he thinks she's meant for something great. And that's why he's, quote unquote, like, I'm not going to say saved her, but, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So she thinks briefly that she wishes that they were mortal and had a mortal marriage. Because, like, in her brain, obviously their marriage is different than a mortal marriage. But, like, in her brain, they are married in every way that counts.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, they don't talk and do that, like, that sort of thing. But, like, they are a married couple. They consummated their wedding. Like, you know, they really have done, I don't know. She sees them as being in a relationship.
Yeah.
But she does say that their union is, like, based on faith, not love. And they did have sex on their wedding night, but it was a physical offering. It wasn't, like, love making.
Wild.
Yeah. So she was 16. He was thousands of years old. And, yep.
I hate it.
Yeah, it's not great.
And we're assuming that's the only time she's ever had sex.
Yes.
Still.
Yeah. Unless he came back and, like, asked for offerings more often.
That's almost worse.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a possibility.
But, you know, it was 3 years between when they were married and her getting turned. So, again, like, I know it is saying that, like, it was a offering. So maybe they never did, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So she does sometimes wish for a relationship like Araya and Rain, but she also knows that she is lucky for Atraxas' favor at all. And, like, she's like, oh, no, I can't. Like, she literally represses her feelings because she knows that Atraxas' love is so conditional. Like, it's so hard to get the balance.
Mm-hmm.
So, she also feels like it's her redemption that makes her need to complete this task for him. So, like, we can tell she doesn't really want to do it, it seems like.
Yeah, she has some like
misgivings.
Doubts, I guess. Yeah. Which obviously you're not supposed to have.
Yeah. Anyway, but she's just like, no, I need this redemption for my family. I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
So she, I guess, tells him, like, she'll do it. And he just tells her, he disappears and tells her that, he starts to disappear and she just tells him she won't fail. So then we get into part 2, which is body. So sort of like the circles next to the body for the cremation. Or no, sorry, the necromancy. Cremation.
Yeah.
Yikes.
The opposite.
Yes. So we get an interlude here, which I had totally forgot was a thing.
Yeah.
But it is. So the little girl was like, she said that she very rarely felt homesick. So, like, indicating that she still does sometimes get homesick, but not very often. And she just comments about how everyone is nice to her and, like, her sister used to tell the other adults that she was adaptable. And she's like, I don't know what that means, but I'm glad to hear my sister say it with pride.
Yeah.
So she just says that, like, as a child, Atraxis would visit her then too, and he was really nice, and he laughed at her games, and he would mess up her hair and stuff like that. And she also loved the magic instruction from the priest, because using magic made her feel the most alive. I just feel like we're getting so many, like, flashbacks and moments. Like, I wonder, is it just to create her, like, backstory appropriately, or, like...
Yeah, I think all of it is going to be, like, this is how she was indoctrinated into this cult/abusive relationship. Because, like, I think we said it in the last one, but, like, she married him. Not many people marry him. It's very indicative of a cult, and he's the leader. And, like, I get he's a god, but he's still abusing his powers.
Yeah.
But I think she's going to have a whole healing journey.
I hope so.
And it's going to be, like, yeah. But who knows?
So she remembers going bird watching, and she went with a little boy who was, like, one of her besties. And they were bird watching these specific birds, and the groundskeeper told them that long ago a priest brought them in for a concubine, and then she released them into the forest, and they are officially an invasive species, and he wants to cull them, but the little girl doesn't want him to.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's like, the birds can't help being brought here and being born. Which I feel like she should take a page out of her own book.
Yeah. But I think showing her childlikeness and, like, believing that is showing that that's actually what she does believe. She's just moved so far away from her own beliefs.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
So then we get, like, a continuation of the interlude that, like, she remembers the first time she saw an accursed being. And she explains that, like, some of the monastery priests are also warriors, and she remembers them carrying, like, a struggling figure to Atraxis's altar, and, like, she was hiding in the background, and the priests hold him down, and he's, like, snarling and burning in the light of the window by the altar, and her sister sees her and is like, hey, get out of here. But the priests are like, no, she should stay and watch. So they, like, lay him out sort of like Da Vinci style, like the Vitruvian Man. And then her sister, actually. So I'm like, how high up is her sister, or how useful is her sister? Like, she's the one stabbing him.
Yeah, I wonder if it's also kind of a, like...
initiation?
They're using her as a... Well, no, if they're using her as, like, a tool against Mische, because, like, she's the powerful one. Let's keep her in line.
Yeah.
I don't know. It does seem wild. It's like I forget how much older her sister is, but it can't be that much.
No. So the priests hold him down, and her sister is the one that stabs him with the stake, and she freaks out and runs to the woods because she actually knew this guy. Like, he used to speak to her really kindly, but now he's, like, all snarly and, like, can't stop moving and just being obviously scared, like, he's being a vampire.
Yeah.
So she runs away to the woods because she just saw her sister, like, kill a guy, and she's stressed about it.
Fair.
So she goes to the woods, and one of the birds that she had been bird watching with the little boy with lands on a branch close to her, and she starts, like, whistling at it and, like, trying to, like, get it to come close to her. And then an arrow goes right through it, and it drops on the ground. And then the groundskeeper's like, great job distracting it. Hundreds to go. And then that makes her throw up in the bushes. So, like, she really did have, like, even though we're saying, oh, you know, she had such a good childhood, she had some trauma even back then.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I feel like we're going to see more trauma as the interludes go on. Because, like, I can't remember if it was this interlude or another one that she was told that she shouldn't talk back to the priest because they know what's right. And it's like, that's not how children grow up healthily. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say something else. I also think that, like, this bird, I think it's the firefinch that she had on her arm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's so smart. Yeah. That makes sense.
So I think she's like,
love that.
This is like a throwback to her childhood. So she wakes up, Mische wakes up after this interlude that we don't 100% know is Mische, but we know it's Mische.
Yeah.
And it's Lucy the wolf waking her up. And Lucy brought her a new outfit because she's still in that white ensemble.
Jesus Christ. And she hasn't eaten,
Correct.
Right? Like, unless we missed something. Like,
she hasn't eaten. She's still in this white frock that purposefully had blood seeping out of it.
But I don't think we really get the first time she's eating as, like, a ceremony of she's eating now. So I'm just like, and he mentioned that she's hungry. I just don't know why nobody gave her blood.
It does come up in a little bit.
Okay,
like,
thank you.
Maybe not this week, but definitely next week.
Oh, okay, maybe that's why.
So, I guess he had Lucy bring her fighting, like, or just, like, leathers instead. You know, those everyday leathers.
That all of the female main characters change into. And they're so tight. So sexy.
But I guess, like, if you're, like, I don't know about this world, but, like, if you're from a world where all you wear is dresses, and then they give you a pair of leathers, and you put on, like, your tight leather pants, imagine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine.
But I also feel like they always say leathers, but I cannot imagine fighting in leather. There's no stretch.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, why not lycra? But I guess leather also would stop some injuries. Like, it's harder to cut through than regular stretchy pants.
Yeah, fine. It's harder to cut through a pair of leather leggings than it would be to cut through, say, like, a pair of Lulus.
Yeah.
But, like,
it's still easy to cut through.
And, like, can you imagine? I'm also thinking of, like, shiny patent leather. Maybe that's the difference.
No, I'm thinking of it too.
Because then I'm thinking, like, well, shit. Like, if she gets sweaty, they're gonna stick. Like,
she's gonna have to baby powder her legs to, like, pull them up.
And, like, also, there's no give. How are you going to run or do, like, a high kick or anything?
Yeah, I know. But then I'm like, are they just saying it because they're trying to be like, that's all the materials we have here is leather? Like,
she's
like,
wearing
I don't
a fucking
get it.
cotton dress. Well, I don't know if it's cotton, but
yeah,
a loose, flowy gown.
Yeah.
So,
don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, I have an issue with fighting leathers, but it's fine.
Yeah. It's just for the hotness.
Yeah.
That's the only option.
I would die if somebody was like, here, have these sweatpants and a hoodie.
Yeah.
So, Lucy, she changes. And Lucy leads her through the prison. Or does she change? I don't remember if she changes now or after.
Yes.
She does?
She does. Yeah, because she's like, Lucy, can you give me some privacy? Right. And Lucy just stares at her.
So, Lucy, she changes, and then Lucy, leads her through the prison. And she goes through an archway. she can immediately feel how ancient the place is. And then there's a set of stairs leading down, and she takes them, and then she finds the dead woman. Only, she's not dead.
What?
And she's, like, super shocked. She's like, did I imagine her being dead? Because, like, she's not a zombie. Like, she's fully alive again.
Yeah.
And, like, she's dressed the same as Mische. So, like, they're twinning here.
And they're both disposable.
Yeah. So they like say hi to each other, and Chandra is afraid of Mische initially because she's like, shit, you're a vampire. But then Mische just shows her that, like, hey, I'm an acolyte too. And she's like, oh my god, I can't believe you're an acolyte and a vampire. Like, that's ridiculous. And then Mische sort of wonders, like, if Chandra remembers her death. And, like...
Well, remembers that she was dead at all.
Yeah. And, like, she has all these questions that Chandra can sort of see in her eyes. Because, you know, people can read questions in your eyes.
Yeah.
What question am I asking you right now?
Can you read this question?
No. Well,
where are we going for supper on the Wednesday before Sarah Milliken?
No. It wasn't anything that, like, it was not a question that I actually needed to ask. So, that just goes to show.
Well, I'm never going to get it.
It's fine. But that just goes to show you, like, how do you have questions in your eyes that people can read?
Don't know.
Anyway, I guess she sees the question and she's like, oh, I don't remember anything. I feel like I drank too much last night. And, like, she says, I remember being asleep, but I don't remember how I got there, and I don't really remember waking up. So, she's useless. And I do find she's actually pretty useless this entire, like, so far. I don't really know what her contributions have been. So Asar comes in then, and he's, like, all ready to go. And he's very, like, adamant. Like, okay, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And I wrote in brackets here, Mische still hasn't eaten anything.
Yeah.
But doesn't say anything about it. So we're just going to, we're just going to be like, she doesn't need food. And, like, it's not like blood is easy to come by either. Like, unless there was a secret reason why they got the human.
Well, yeah, I kind of did wonder that. Are we just going to feed off of her?
I don't know. Be a good idea. Not that it'd be a good idea, but, like...
it's an option.
So he opens the passageway, and he's like, okay, time to go, time to go. And, like, they're kind of just, like, I'm saying the word lollygagging, like, they're sort of just taking their time. They're not sure, like, why he's in such a rush. But then the door flies open, and another guy comes in, and he's wet. And Mische immediately recognizes him as the princess's guard, like, Egret's guard, that visited her in the prison cell. And so, like I said, he's all wet, and Asar's like, did you get caught in the moat? Yeah.
I like your laugh.
So obviously the guy's pissed, and Mische sort of reads between the lines that Asar was obviously in a hurry to leave, so that they left this guy behind because he didn't want him to come with them. And then she's thinking, like, he probably also gave him the wrong directions so that he would purposely go in the moat, which is just funny. It is. Yeah. So Asar, like, insults the guy, and his name is Elias, and he's being really intelligent and, like, snarky, and that Mische really appreciates. So Elias tells Asar that he is here on command of the king, and even though Asar is now the new heir, he is still bound by his oaths to the king, so he has to let Elias come with them. And I just think, poor Egret, it's wild that she is being replaced by a halfie, like a half it.
By the bastard son.
When she is a full-blood child, just
Heir.
not a man.
Yeah. That's why we want her novella.
So I guess Asar realizes that, like, oh shit, I do have these oaths to my dad, and so, like, I do have to let him come with me, because apparently Shadowborn royalty can use compulsion to create oaths that are, like, super powerful and hard to break, which almost feels a little bit like foreshadowing.
Yeah.
The fact that, they're very hard to break, but not impossible. So, obviously, Asar is pissed that Elias is there, but he's like, all right, fine, let's go. So, they get ready to go. So, Mische looks through the door, and that Asar opens, he opens like a magic door, and doesn't know what it is. And he's like, it's the bridge to the underworld. The thing is, it's not a bridge, it's just a ton of stairs. It's like, do you need a definition of the word stairs?
Yeah.
So while they descend the stairs, they give us a recap on the 5 sanctums they need to hit each one. So each sanctum represents one of the 5 things you need to resurrect someone, like we saw with everybody with the little circles. Body, breath, psyche, secrets, and soul. However, the mortal world and the underworld are a lot older than the descent. And actually, Alaris created the descent because he understood that death was a journey, and he wanted to create a transition from life to death so mortals can shed everything piece by piece.
So it already seems like he's better than some of the gods. And by better, I mean gooder.
Yeah. Which is nice of him, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, like, turns out he made the sanctums after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
The only issue is that for each sanctum he created, he had to offer a little piece of himself. And now, those relics, the things he gave, those are the things they need to find.
Yeah.
So, Mische just says, like, maybe Alaris should, like, stay dead. Like, maybe we shouldn't try and resurrect him at all. And Asar is just annoyed because he's like, the guy shouldn't have been stabbed in the first place, which is sort of a dig at Atraxis.
Yeah. Even though she agrees with that. Really.
Yes, she does. But still, like...
Well, it seems like,
but it is, like, a direct insult.
Oh, yeah. Her god is the one that killed him.
But, like, Mische does defend the White Pantheon's actions and just says, like, oh, we were trying to prevent a war. And I'm like, or you could have ignored them and still prevented a war.
Yeah.
But I guess we can't all be that smart.
That's true.
So, Mische touches Asar's shoulder. And she feels, like, a wave of cold. And then he, like, tells her to let go. Which I find odd.
Yeah, because I was saying that she feels his emotions, but what emotion is cold? Is cold an emotion?
I mean, depends on how you're using the word cold.
Genuinely unsure. Emotions are a mystery.
So, he just tells her, he's like, essentially, like, I appreciate his boundaries. Like, don't touch me.
Oh.
But then also, like, if you would rather, like, because she's being like, oh, she's sort of wavering in her dedication to the mission. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, listen, if you don't want to do this, I'll send you back to my sister.
Which is not... That's just death. Just kill her instead.
Yeah.
Like...
So... I guess they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And she also is like, well, I can't because I have a task. Like, Atraxas has given her a task to do, so she has to stick it out.
Yeah.
So Elias, I guess, points out first that there's like this like rippling air thing that kind of looks like silk, but it's not. It's like organic or something, I want to say. So they also mentioned that there are these like guardians that guard the gates and the journey and everything. But they're hoping that the castle like gives them an alternate route. And I'm like, so it's like a sentient house again. We can't get away from them.
That's fair.
So there are two rules, I guess, that Asar brings up. He says, like, you have to stay on the path. You have to stay on the path.
Which is Lord of the Rings.
But also, don't call attention to yourselves. So, like, try and be quiet and stealthy so that the guardians don't, like, get you, essentially. So, they go through the veil. There are, like, these translucent hills in the distance, and there are people dotting it around everywhere. And I guess Mische understands that these people are just starting their journey. This isn't even one of the 5 sanctums yet. This is just like, I guess, the spot where you go when you wake up after death.
Yeah.
Is what I'm assuming.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So they see the guardians, and I picture the guardians as being absolutely ginormous, like as big as like a 10-story building.
Yeah, agreed.
And there are 2 guardians there. There's a lioness and a snake goddess, and they are like watching everything. They're ushering people in. They're getting it done. So they are walking through the path or down the path or whatever, and there's like this liquid that's not a liquid that's floating around them, but they're still walking, and I got really confused and I don't get it.
Yeah. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I just took it that, like, the liquid doesn't act like a liquid. It's just a barrier. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But it was confusing. I'm pretty sure I read it like a couple of times to try and figure it out, and I just could not.
Yeah.
So the dead are like pretty far away, and like it's fine because the 2 guardians are like ushering them through the gates. And they ask like, "Hey, where's the 3rd guardian?" And I guess Asar tells them that he she fell 60 years ago, and now there's only 2. Or not 60 years, just 60. Oh my god, just many years ago.
Yeah. I'm sure this will never come up again.
Never. So they continue to go down the path. The water keeps rising. And they are more than halfway there. They're only like a few steps away when something like sort of tries to, I don't know if it's even attack them, because I don't know if anybody was like touched. Or like, so something attacks them, but like they never see it straight on. And there's an earthquake or something like that right before.
Yeah. And it seems very, like, phantom-y, whatever's attacking them. I'm like, is it just, like, a mind fuck? Or is there actually something? I don't know.
Yeah. So I guess, like, Asar just sort of thinks he knows what the thing is that's hunting them. So he just yells at everybody to run. So Chandra is obviously struggling and freaking out because she's a human. She's 70 years old, and she has no idea what's coming after them.
True.
So Mische just asks her to tell her the hymn of the second son, which she does, and it does help her. So then something screams, and Mische is afraid and thinks that they're hurting them. And Elias doesn't want to stand for that, so he attacks, even though Asar's like, don't attack. Sorry, I got really confused there for a second. Because I thought...
That's fair.
I thought it was meant further down, but it wasn't. So, I guess, I don't know if it's Elias raising his, like, sword against this body or whatever it was, but the earth then quakes, and the path falls away. So, like, the house is mad.
Yeah.
I know it's not actually a house. I know they're in the sanctum, but, like, or they're not in the sanctum. They're in the waiting room. So Elias and Chandra end up falling off the path and going over the edge of this big chasm that pops up. So Asar grabs Mische so that she doesn't go over the edge. Like, sort of pulls her in and then pushes her towards Lucy and says, go with her. She'll, like, show you the way. And then he holds up his sword, and I think he's going to try and fight the lioness, even though she wasn't involved.
Yeah, I think they got their attention. Like, yeah.
So they also see the serpent, like, sort of looking like he might come on scene. But Mische sort of gets that they're gonna try and attack him. Oh, the Guardians are going to attack Asar. Sorry, I was like, who is attacking who? So she gets that, like, the Guardians are coming for him. So she just uses all of her sun magic and fires in their general direction and then just dives in front of him. So they fall off the path, and Asar is pissed, and he told her to, like, and just, he says he said the same thing to everyone, to, like, stay on the path. He was like, it's the one thing I wanted you guys to do was stay on the path, and nobody stayed on the path.
As they're, like, falling off, he's like, I told you
so. So I guess she can feel the burns on her hands, and, like, she's gonna say ow, but Asar's like, nope, don't do that. And she's like, well, why? And he said, because the dead crave the living. So, like, all those bodies that were out in the underworld milling about, like, that's not my... Oh my god. That might not be... I don't know what I just said. I forget. No, but I forget the point I was trying to make. I just completely forgot the point I was trying to make.
Sure.
Anyway, whole point is the dead crave the living, so they're all over the place. And if they catch a whiff of ya, they'll be on you like orange on an orange.
Is that a saying?
I don't know. I just made it up, I think.
I like it.
So they're in some sort of cave, and Asar, like, treats the burns on Mische's hands, and he actually says something quite impactful, and he says, like, I don't see how your god loves you if this is the result of you using your power. And I love that he just threw that out. It's like the third conversation they've ever had, and he's like, I don't think your god loves you.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just love it.
Yeah, that's why I think, like, there's gonna be some stuff about him helping her, like, see.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. The fuckery.
So he heals her hand, and he is annoyed that she went off the path, which we sort of already mentioned. And she just tells him, she was like, dude, I was protecting you. And he's like, oh no, the Guardians would not have been a problem for me. And I'm like, really?
He's clearly been here before, so maybe that's the thing. Like, I don't know. He's hiding shit.
Oh, yeah. Mische then says, like, oh, I don't think it was the Guardians that attacked. Maybe it was something else, but he doesn't want to entertain that conversation.
Yeah. Because she saw something behind him, but, like, I don't think he saw it.
No,
so
and whatever it was moved super fast.
Yeah.
So they need to go in search of the others. They need to find Elias and Chandra. So Asara actually says, oh, we're actually in the descent right now, and, like, luckily for us, we're on the first level that we need to be on. And I'm like, why do you need to stay on the path then if you fell off of it and got exactly where you needed to go?
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem that far either. Like, they literally traverse it in, like, they don't give a specific time frame, but, like, it seems like they might be, like, traveling for an hour.
Yeah, I kind of wondered, the only thing I could think of, and the only reason why, is Lord of the Rings. I wondered if the dead that go after them because they went off the path, like in the marshes when he falls into the water and the dead start grabbing. But, like, I'm pretty sure it happens in the next level too, that the dead go after them. So, like, where was the path there? I don't think it explains this whole path business.
Yeah, it doesn't. So they have to head to the temple that acts as sort of like the epicenter of the Sanctum of Body. And Asar tells her that, like, because it's funny, because he's like, we have to find Chandra and Elias. And then they get there, and he's like, Lucy will find Chandra and Elias. We'll meet them there. And it's like,
yeah, convenient.
I thought you wanted to look for them, but he doesn't. So she just hopes that, like, Chandra is okay. And I think she says it out loud because then Asar reminds her, like, Chandra was in prison. And got an extra 40 years thanks to Atroxus. And I'm like, so 40 years in jail? 40 years of life?
I think 40 years of life, because I think it might come up next week.
So then they hear another scream. They think it's Chandra. And then they actually see them ahead. And they're being chased by dead people. Or the dead. And Asar explains that, like, they crave life the way that vampires crave blood. And they need to get through to the temple so that they can, like, I guess they're safe in there.
Yeah.
So they have to get through this, like, little mini horde swarm, I guess. So Asar gives Mische a blade, instructs her specifically not to use her magic, and do not let the dead touch you. So they fight. It's decently uneventful, sorry. And they run for the temple as they're fighting, and, like, they manage to fend them off, and they run for the temple. And Misha's, like, coming up to him, and she's like, wow, this is beautiful. And they head towards the altar where they think the relic is going to be. And then a bird bursts out. And it's on fire and has a skeleton face. And they realize, shit, this is the third guardian that was supposed to be dead. Looks like it isn't dead. And it's there to attack. So.
I actually forgot that happened this week, because I was like, oh, this isn't going to come back, and then it literally immediately did.
But it doesn't really after this.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's our first week. Take 2.
Yes.
Take 2 for us. But good book so far. We're enjoying it. So
great format.
Yeah. And it's gotten right into the story, and it's, like, already going. Which is fun. So, yeah. I guess that's going to wrap it up for this week. If you want to get in touch with us and share your thoughts on anything you heard in our episodes, or if you have any book suggestions, please reach out to us by email at coffeeandcoread@gmail.com or on Instagram or Facebook at coffeeandcoread and coffee.coread on TikTok.
So next week we will be reading chapters 10 to 23 of Songbird and the Heart of Stone. So if you're enjoying our chats, don't forget to follow, rate, and review wherever you get our content. Tune in next week. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you on the next page.